You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to you. We can see the finish line from here. How the heck are you, Miller and Moulton, on this Thursday, the 19th of May? Thanks for being with us on the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. I come at you from St. Louis, helping out Joe Buck, Michael Collins, with a new venture in conjunction with Peyton Manning's Omaha Productions. It's called the MegaCast, Mark. Golf, casual way.
MegaCast.
That's the name of it.
All right. Now we've got a name.
Right.
It's better than we've been all week. We know one more thing. You know one more thing than you knew yesterday. I feel like the show's elevated itself already.
Mark, you and Felipe at about 2-3 o'clock yesterday knew about as much as I did. So I know a little bit more than the both of you as of right now, so we're off to a good start.
All right. I'm sure we'll get to that at some point. Whatever. I got a couple of questions about yesterday.
Okay.
All right. Did you see the arch?
No.
It's going to be an archless St. Louis trip, because if you didn't see it yesterday, you're done. You got to go to work today.
Not true. See, Saturday
afternoon, you got time.
Yes. We're working mornings on the weekend. Now, I fly out of here late afternoon Sunday, so Saturday's got to be my day, Mark. See the arch and hoping to catch Game 3, Blues and Avs.
All right. Did you locate a White Castle?
It's 5 miles from here. I don't have a car. I'm dependent on Joe Buck for transportation.
Somehow I don't think asking Joe to make a run to White Castle for a bag, or a sack, I'm sorry, as they're called, would be met with a lot of acceptance.
I want to get through one show first. Have to admit, so Joe's picking it up. Joe has a trusted right-hand man. His name is Steve Horn. He's been with him for 25 years. And Steve lives in St. Louis, and he drove to the hotel that I'm staying at and parked. So Joe was picking the both of us up because apparently the hotel is in between, where he lives and the studio. And so all of a sudden this car, and I think it was a big Cadillac, Escalade.
Yeah.
I think that's what it was. All I know is that as it's pulling into the hotel parking lot, the windows are up. He sees us and he puts the windows down, and he's got a hardcore rap song on.
Nice.
And he pulls, and of course, there's a few people that are our age or maybe even a little bit older standing in front of the hotel. All right. And he pulls up and he just kind of looks out the right side and he goes, "Get in!" And he just starts, chair dancing to a pretty hardcore rap song and you can hear some lyrics that are inappropriate, clear as day. And he's just bobbing his head, all right? And he's trying to make it out like he's our driver, okay, to the other people that are standing around. "You guys headed downtown?" So which one of you's Moulton? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Sounds like me and this guy would get along.
And so Joe's got a good sense of humor. People don't get a chance to see it. Maybe they'll see a little more of it with the MegaCast here. 4 hours with Michael Collins. We've talked about it. We had him on the show a lot in our first act. He works for the 4-Letter Network. We were part of it, a 4-Letter Network affiliate. Once we got fired and started working for a 3-letter affiliate, well, he couldn't come on the show anymore. So there you have it. Mark, you would have loved it. I, of course, immediately was like, "When are you turning this down?" You would have loved it.
Of course I would have. There's just several zeros separating me and Joe Buck. The two marriages, having another kid later in life. There's just
right.
He's got one more comma before the start of his net worth than I do with mine. That's all.
But just also, taste in music and what have you. So So that's what I'm dealing with here, Mark, in St. Louis. I've got to be on my toes. I've got to be flexible. Two things I'm usually not.
I'm watching now just for this. What time do you go on today?
We are 1 to 5 today and tomorrow. The first hour every day is on ESPN. Apparently, this megacast starts ESPN's PGA coverage both days. And then after an hour, Scott Van Pelt and the boys come on and do the golf, and we get moved over to the Deuce from 2 to 5.
This will
So
be interesting. This has never been done. I mean, you are part of a little bit of television history. They've never tried this for golf.
Correct.
So this actually, it could be met with a lot of acceptance, or it could be panned universally, because that's how these things go.
Well, I will say it is clear that they are going after a totally different audience. I'm sure the golf audience will stumble upon it from 1 to 2 and be like, what the heck is this? And I have no idea if they'll like it or not. Usually, golf Twitter, not very kind to anything that is 1% different than a staid Saturday afternoon at the St. Jude Classic.
Correct.
But if you're not normally into golf, their guest list is staggering how impressive it is. I mean, I think Adam Levine's going to be on. All right. I thought I heard Timberlake. I mean, Bolt Manning's, Troy, some of the usuals that you could expect. But it's going to be a fascinating, and some of the guests are coming on for 30 minutes. So I'm interested in seeing how non-golf it gets. Golf's going to be on the screen. Like today, Tiger's going to be on the course. I mean, do you really think we're going to be yucking it up? I mean, I say we, but I have a feeling that we're going to see every one of Tiger's shots. But
I expect to.
Right.
So I'm going to turn the television on.
Right. So I will be curious as to how. The other thing I am interested in, Mark, is, you have to be able to see the ball. It's kind of important. One of the things that hurt Fox, their very first tournament, was that U.S. Open out at Chambers Bay, and the course was brown, and the telecast looked like a 1970s British Open. You could never see where the ball was on the course. You had gray skies and a brown course. Couldn't find the ball for 4 days. All right, that's a problem.
It was the worst television golf product that's ever been assembled, as to no fault of anyone's but the conditions.
Correct.
We've never had anything like that in the HD era.
Right. And it was their first telecast, and everybody said, well, these guys suck at this, even though they actually brought about 6 things to golf coverage that now all the other networks do and claim as their own. But I'm curious as to how they're going to do it also with the screen reduced, even if it's reduced 20%, 30%, how people are going to like, I think you can follow a football game with this. The Manning cast, I think you can still follow the game with the Manning cast.
I mean, I've watched enough of them to tell you, as the fan watching, you can watch the game.
So I will be curious to see whether or not, you would think it's a small ball and it's usually right in the middle of the screen, but I will be curious to see whether it is still a comfortable watch if you're actually also trying to take in some of the golf in and around what it's going to provide.
Me too, because I'll be viewing both. I'll probably do what I normally do on the Monday nights, though, is give Joe the volume and then put the other broadcast on without volume so I can watch as much golf as is humanly possible.
Makes total sense.
Because I don't need the golf coverage. I don't need Van Pelt and the gang telling me that Abraham Answer is now hitting it from the middle of the fairway. I can see it on the graphic.
That is so funny that you said Abraham Answer. He is the very first golfer alphabetically in the player bios, is Abraham Answer. That is spectacular. In fact, we were trying to get them to ship us player bio books, and they kept shipping us stuff about the course and the tournament. We're like, no, we need players. And I said, please look for Abraham Answer. Once you find Abraham Answer, you have found what we are looking for. So I love the fact of the 156 possible golfers in the field that you just pulled Abraham Answer out.
One, I like him too. His caddy, at least was. His caddy was the guy, the Dale Trail there, that eats the hot dogs on Instagram. So I'm a big fan of his caddy and his social media following. So there you have it. I mean, anybody that calls a hot dog a pork missile is someone I'm a fan of.
Pork missile.
And I have a feeling Michael Collins is a fan of them too.
Oh, there's no doubt.
He's got quite the beard going too. It's Lovie Smith-esque. Not quite, but it's Lovie Smith-esque.
It has its own area code.
Yes.
There's no doubt there. Just curious, in your research, have you changed? Do you have a pick this week? I mean, you get into all of this. Did it lead you down a path for who you think is going to win this tournament?
I picked about 7 guys while I was doing the research.
That's fine.
I really did. So that's ridiculous, obviously. But I don't know, Mark. I keep going back to Hovland. I will say this, though. When they've played the PGA here, they've played it, I think, 4 previous times. The winner is a golfer that has some historical significance. It's not a Sean McKeel, Rich Beam type winner at Southern Hills. Dave Stockton won the PGA here in 70. Won a couple majors, considered one of the best putters on tour, probably about as good a career as you could have without being in the World Golf Hall of Fame. Ray Floyd won the PGA here. Nick Price won the PGA here. Some guy named Tiger Woods won his 4th PGA here 15 years ago. So it's a track that I don't think you're going to have that Y.E. Yang winner to it.
Well, I think that bodes well for the PGA if they can pull that off. If you get a previous major winner winning the PGA, it always bodes well for the tournament. Don't ask me why. I'm picking Jordan Spieth the way he's been playing lately. That's a guy I've had in my head. Don't ask. No real reason behind it. No rhyme or reason. But
they would love that. Give him the career Grand Slam at 28.
Your mode.
Yes, absolutely. It would. He's got a win in 2 seconds this year. Not a bad pick, Mark. Miller and Moulton. Thanks for listening. Florida Sports Network.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. And use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
So yesterday, the guy I'm playing golf with says to me, "Hey, where's there a John Smith sub around here?"
That's hysterical.
He goes, that steaks thing you described sounds pretty good. I go, does. Never had one, but it does sound pretty good. Upset with me already because I teased him about, oh, that's good. When David told him Michael Collins is going to be there, you got Felipe's approval at 6:01. I just found that funny. That'll do it. Yes, there was. Calgary and Edmonton went back to the 80s.
Oh my goodness. I went to bed. It was 6-5 after 2.
Only one empty netter.
Yeah, Paul, I don't know. The Rangers played about as well as they could last night and lost.
So no Horford, it looks like, tonight again.
Right, but it looks like Smart.
Yeah.
Yeah, I am very curious. My guess is golf fan in the first hour is going to react very badly on Twitter because they hate anything new. But I'll be curious. I don't know how many people will watch on the weekends. It'll be on in the morning. Only 3 of the 4 hours will be on ESPN Plus. But pretty good guest list from what I'm told.
So you weren't bumping to that rap music, David?
I was just long enough to, look him in the eyes and go, so when does this end? It's like, come on, Moulton. Get with the program.
Come back.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
$21 past the hour. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network. Thanks so much for being with us. Got a good show lined up for you. Bud Elliott to talk about life and pursuit of happiness in college football and where it goes from here. After
the timing of that couldn't be any better after Nick's comments yesterday.
I don't think Jimbo's going to take too well to it. I think the whole, pupil student thing that's out the window now. I think Jimbo's going to fight back, and I think it could get ugly. I think if there's anything going on at Alabama that shouldn't be going on at Alabama, I think certain people are going to try to expose it now.
And do you blame them? I mean, Nick got up and said they paid every player that they signed. We didn't pay any, but we think we might have to down the road. Oh, by the way, Jackson State paid their player that came there too. To which John's already denied it and said he's going to come out Thursday to talk about it more. Later today, rather.
Yeah. I think it's a dangerous road that Nick is going down here, and one that, quite frankly, he didn't need to go down. You're doing pretty well no matter what the system is. And if somebody gets one on you for a year, you can adjust pretty quickly. I mean, I do think, though, what Nick's talking about is, in theory, what the NCAA came out a week or so ago and said, we're going to try to stop. What Nick is alleging is that these schools used NIL to get the recruits. In theory, you're supposed to get the recruits, sit down and say, okay, let's see if we can't make this a little more worthwhile for you. I don't know if that's a big enough distinction, like Nick saying we didn't do that, but we may have to in the future. Oh, okay. Mark, Nick's also the same guy who last week said, I just want college football to go back to, how it used to be when we had parity. And people are still pulled over on the side of the road laughing hysterically from that one.
As we give them the 1972 AP rankings.
Right. Remember when Gary used to come in studio? Gary Danielson from CBS would come in studio back in the day at 5 o'clock on Monday, and he sat down and he said, guys, let me read off something to you. And read it off, and Mark and I looked at one another like, well, yeah, I guess that's the upcoming top 10. And he goes, no, that was 1974. Oh.
So a lot's changed.
Right.
It's the same 8 teams and 2 outliers every year, or so it seems. But to your point, David, whatever system's been out there, Alabama's done pretty well by it.
And they can adjust to it within a year. Like, all right, if you're, if A&M outgamed you this year, they did it. And by the way, not illegal. I mean, it's not illegal until now, supposedly. But what they did was within the rules. Might not have been within the spirit of when the rules were passed, but it is within the rules. But it's 1 year, Nick. Come on.
Well, I don't even know if it was within the rules. I mean, I think we could spend a day figuring out whether it was within the rules. But to your point, one, I don't know how many people care, first off, whether it was within the rules. But from the get-go, pay for play was not allowed, and that's what looks like went on. Okay. Most of us don't care. But again, to your point, Alabama can adjust, and Alabama's going to be just fine.
Right. Because
how's the transfer portal worked out for Nick?
Well, he's got 4 starters out of it this year. Hey, I need a tackle. I know they suck, but that kid at Vandy's pretty good. You think he'd be interested in playing here? Well, I'm sure he would.
Anybody on our team know him?
Listen, I saw some film. I think it was when we were scouting for Georgia, the Georgia Tech game. You know, that running back for Tech's pretty good. Think he'd be interested in playing here? We got some carries for him. I mean, if he's going to carry the ball 250 times, you might as well do it here, right?
Behind a good line.
Right.
Not
See
that
if he's
line
interested.
attack.
Right. Hey, it's a bit of a grease fire at LSU. We could always use a corner. See if that kid wants to play here. Oh, he does? Great. Yeah. He's doing okay.
Things
Bud
work
Elliott
for Alabama. So
right.
The timing of that with Bud Elliott's perfect.
Yeah. So Bud Elliott will join us on the show. We'll preview Game 2, Lightning Panthers with David Dwork. And our buddy Mark Lai will join us. Talk a little PGA at Southern Hills, which gets underway in a couple hours, I think.
About 8 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Central, I think is when the first groups probably start going off. Tiger tees off a little after 9 o'clock this morning. A whole day of not being able to watch it. How are we supposed to get by not watching every Tiger Woods shot, David?
I understand, Mark. I understand. I mean, this is the stuff Nick should be belly aching about. I mean, picking up Tiger like on 14. I mean, this is like golf in the old days. What the heck?
I'm gonna have to go to PGA Tour Radio, David. That's what this has brought me to. You're laughing. I'm telling the truth.
No, I know. That's where you have to make a decision. Do you have the app? If you do, you could just, stay at home on your lanai and listen. Otherwise, you have to make that big decision. Do you just sit in your driveway? Or are you going to drive around? Or
I have
both.
I have the app, but I'll probably do both. It'll be little inside, little outside, little car driving.
Right.
This is the type of day when I want to run errands. What do I have on the list to accomplish today?
No, honey. I'll do the honey-do list today. It's not a problem at all. Really? That's so nice of you. Well, I'm in a good spirits today. Yeah. Mm-hmm. What channel is that again on Sirius XM?
That's right.
92. Got it. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The Tiger goes off a little after 9 tonight. We've got huge Florida action tonight in the postseason. Game 2 of the Sunshine State Series between the Lightning and the Panthers. Pretty much a must-win for the Panthers.
Yeah, I'd say. Yep. Don't like your chances, boys. 0-2 arriving in Tampa. Meanwhile, the Heat with a chance to, I wouldn't call it a stranglehold, but at the very least, hold serve with an asterisk. Hold serve with your hands on your hips afterwards. Kind of like, you better get 2 in Boston.
Absolutely. And, I'm interested in that game tonight just because we had 2 completely different games in game 1. We had a first half in which Boston was in control. We had a second half in which Boston was just obliterated by the Heat's defense and Jimmy Butler with another unbelievable game. So I'm fired up for game 2 in this series. Game 1 was interesting. I think game 2 will be fascinating.
And once again, yeah, both South Florida teams playing on the same night, but not at the same time. I think you can get darn near 2 full periods in of Panthers Lightning before there's even a conflict. And then you can get a good, healthy start to the basketball game. I mean, you got an 18-minute intermission in hockey. I mean, that'll take you through 2/3 of a quarter at least.
Mark, you mentioned Noah Horford.
No Horford, Marcus Smart back. Horford's doubtful because of health and safety protocols.
So it looks like Smart back. No word on Lowry. Most people think he's still out.
And, Bam did not have a great game 1. 10-5 with no Horford. You got to expect Bam to have a bigger game tonight. But really, no one needed to have a big game when Butler's going to score 41.
Good interior defense, though. He had like 3 or 4 blocks. Nasty blocks, too.
We're expecting the rock fight. We didn't get it in game 1. Do we get it beginning in game 2? The starting 5 is next, Miller and Moulton.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the Chicken Bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
Mark, we're playing golf.
Saturday, June 11th, a scramble at the West Bay Club in Estero. Go to floridasportsnetwork.com to sign up now.
I'd like to thank Budweiser, Twin Peaks, and Southwest Florida Golf Carts. Got some good stuff there. FLGolfCarts.com.
Where are you going to go? floridasportsnetwork.com. Sign up for our tournament Saturday, June 11th, a scramble at the West Bay Club in Estero. Your golf will include your foursome and a chance to have lunch and awards after.
Sign up at floridasportsnetwork.com.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
There will be, Adam. Yes, there will be Twin Peaks girls. When is Game 3 DC of what?
No, Game 3's on Saturday of Heat.
Mark, have you ever been to a Heat game?
No,
It's very exciting.
if you say so.
It's like NBA meets club.
Two things that I really love a lot in life, clubs and the NBA.
Well, that's why you go when you say that you've been.
I'm good. I wouldn't spend $1 to go to an NBA game. Not $1. Not one single dollar.
If I had the money, which I don't, I would pay to sit on the floor.
If I could see Steph, John Morant, but no offense to watch this Brock fight. No. I saw that. I've already seen it.
It's true. I've been to Heat games for the good, the bad, the ugly, all that stuff. And watching a Heat game when the big three was
Yeah, that would be cool.
a lot better than now. I mean, there are highlights every other play.
Yeah, I got to see one NBA game on the floor. I would definitely pay for that if I
did
had that kind of money.
When I was really young.
Where?
Knicks Nets
In the Garden?
at the Garden.
Wow. Courtside at the Garden.
I don't even know where I was courtside for. It was Pistons somebody at the Silverdome.
I had the opportunity to sit baseline courtside at a Heat game next to the Golden State Warriors bench in 2017. And it was crazy. Klay Thompson was bitching about fouls right in front of my face.
Be really interested to see if Felipe's awake in the 8 o'clock hour because he's got a lot of energy right now, which leads me to believe he'll be asleep by 8 o'clock.
Maybe he's adjusting to the schedule. Maybe this is a new Felipe.
Not gonna lie, I didn't shower this morning.
Right. You're out. I know. You're done in the 8 o'clock hour.
And I told myself, I was like, shit. I got a good thing going with the shower, and I skipped it.
Unbelievable.
And I'll admit that it's good.
But you just don't like to listen.
No. This is the first time I didn't shower in the morning in like 2 months.
This week.
Yeah.
No.
You didn't do it last week one
Didn't
day.
do it last week, Felipe.
When?
Midweek. There was a day you didn't do it. It was like third day.
Fine. Once a week.
That's a C, 80 percentile gets you a C.
He went to a Catholic school. It's a B. It's a B minus. But
Oh my God.
I think it
Really?
should be B.
You think 80% should be B? B is defined as good.
Thanks for listening. And now, more of Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network. Thanks so much for being with us. You should take in the show on Twitch, the Miller and Moulton Twitch.tv channel. We debate some of the biggest topics of the day during the commercial break sometime. Kind of like, what's a worthy B?
80%'s a B.
No
it's
way.
a B minus, but it's a B.
It's ridiculous.
Are you kidding me? David, come on now.
You're a tough grader.
Yeah.
I am. I don't know what it was. The public school system that I went to, you had to get an 85 to get a B.
Was that a B minus? Did you
No.
have pluses and minuses?
No, there were no pluses and minuses. All right. It was 93 to 100 was an A, 85 to 92 was a B, 74 to 84 was a C, 70 to 73 was a D. Anything below 70 was an F. That was it. Yep. The Edison, New Jersey school system. Yep. 10 years of that, Mark. A lot of pressure. I mean, think about it. If you get 21 out of 25 right on a test, that's an 84. It's a C.
What? It's our poll question. There may be another one.
I didn't realize this was this big a deal.
I'm just baffled right now that you think an 80% is a C. Do you know what my grades would have been if 80% would have been a C?
Oh,
I don't know what to tell you. To me, A was excellent, B was good, C was average, D was poor, F was, failing. So, do you think an 80
was a beating?
Do you think 80 is quote unquote good?
Yes. Borderline great.
I don't think It meets the definition of good. It's getting there.
Okay, there's 5 questions. You get 4 right. If 5 right is excellent, 4 right would be good.
Pretty good.
Pretty good is a B- in my world, and that's what an 80 is.
Well, come on, let's be honest. The difference between C plus and B minus is the difference between half empty and half full. Is it partly cloudy or is it partly sunny? I mean, that's the difference between C plus and B minus.
No, the difference between B- and C+ was the smile on your face to that teacher. That's all that was. Your likability factor.
Well, then you and I got a lot of C pluses.
Not true. I could con many a teacher back then, David. I hadn't turned into the blankety blank that I am now.
You were a schmoozer, were you, back in the day?
Yeah.
Wow. I didn't think you had it in you, even at 12. And come on now, you got to admit, I've known you 23 years. That's not exactly the wrong leap to make during the 23 years that I've known you, too.
No, somewhere around 16, full snark came in, David.
All right, fair enough. Fair enough. All right, let's do this.
The starting 5. 5 stories you need to know. It's the starting 5 on Miller and Moulton. Here's number 1.
So Bryson DeChambeau practiced a full round yesterday. Was hitting multiple shots a hole and seemed fine. But announced afterwards that, yeah, I'm not fine. I'm not 100%. I don't want to play when less than 100%. I've done that twice before. It hasn't worked out well. So DeChambeau withdraws from the PGA.
So wait a minute. Bryson DeChambeau is not 100%, can't play the PGA. Tiger Woods could barely walk and made the cut at Augusta. Just want to make sure I got this straight.
2 different injuries. You know, one's a wrist, one's a leg. But, yeah, DeChambeau had surgery just 4 weeks ago. Was given a 4 to 6 week time frame as to when he would come back. Tried to come back for the PGA. Says he can't go. He withdrew. Did you see this from the Pac-12 yesterday? They scrapped divisions. The NCAA gave them the okay, said to leagues, listen, you don't want to have an East and a West, a North and a South, a Leaders and a Legends. That's fine. So the Pac-12 immediately dissolved the North and the South. And they're just going to play out the schedule as is. The teams that have the 2 best records, they're going to meet in the conference title game in Vegas. Big 12's been doing that, right?
Right.
Expect the ACC to do it next. Who knows? Maybe even before Memorial Day weekend. Because the ACC has wanted to do this for a long time. Got to admit, that's a big conference to scrap divisions. But if you're a Florida State and Miami, you like this, scrapping the divisions?
I think in the long run, it'll work out for you.
What's interesting to me, if the ACC does it, I mean, in the Pac-12, they obviously don't play 11 conference games. So you're going to have situations where certain schools could just have the better draw that year. They play 2 harder schools versus you play 2 easier schools and what have you. But boy, in the ACC, I mean, you could have schools that play completely different schedules.
Right. Then the Notre Dame factor, which won't add into conference records, but will factor into schedule difficulty.
Right. So it'll be very interesting to me if the ACC does it. To me, the conference is too big to scrap divisions. That's just me. Let's start with hockey then. Last night, Rangers played about as well as they could play, but they didn't put the Canes away. It was 1-0 forever. And you knew watching it, if they don't make it 2, they're probably going to lose. Aho scores late. Ian Cole scores early in overtime. Carolina, still perfect at home in the playoffs, 5-0. They win game 1 against the Rangers 2-1. Meanwhile, the Battle of Alberta went just blank crazy. They went into a time warp Like channel your inner 1985.
Vernon gives up a big goal early in the third for the tie, and then
Yeah, Gretzky and the boys came back from 5-1 and 6-2 deficits, but Lanny McDonald and company with 3 late, and the Flames behind McDonald and Joe Nieuwendyk beat Edmonton 9-6.
very good, David. Very good.
Matthew Tkachuk with a hat trick for the Flames. That's right, 9-6.
Field goal battle
That's
between
game
the
one of that
Stampeders and the
series.
Eskimos.
Yes, really. Game 2 tonight, Sunrise. Lightning up 1-0 on the Panthers. Seems to be a big game for Florida. It's just me. Colorado's at home for game 2 against the Blues. Avs won game 1 in overtime. NBA Western Conference Finals got underway yesterday, and Steph and the boys showed Dallas, hey, we ain't Chris Paul and company. Steph with 21 points and 12 rebounds. How about that? Golden State won 3 of the 4 quarters, one going away 112-87. Game 2 tonight in Miami. Heat hosting the Celtics. 3.5-point favorite, by the way. Marcus Smart probable for the C's. Horford is doubtful. Kyle Lowry is doubtful to out for the Heat. Game 2, Miami yet to lose at home in the playoffs. Celtics coming into this series had the best road record in the playoffs. Baseball. 6-1 Tampa over Detroit. Isaac Paredes haunted the Tigers with 2 home runs. Boy, things are getting really bad in Detroit. What was supposed to be a promising, B500 and let everybody know 2023 you're coming year. They got the worst record in the American League, maybe the worst record in baseball at this point. And Eduardo Rodriguez is headed straight to the IL. He walked off the mound in St. Pete last night with an arm injury. Not good. Marlins lost to the Nats 5-4-10. Garrett Cole, 7 impressive innings. The Yankees keep winning. They're 28-9. That's better than 75%.
Yeah, it is.
This is the Yankees, and this is one of the 3 greatest starts in the history of their franchise. The Yankees. 3-2 over the Orioles. Okay, guess the attendance in Oakland. Over-under was 4,000.
They've been doing this school stuff on Wednesday and fooling us. I'm still going under.
Under.
7,106.
You can never get it right, ever.
It's Wednesdays. They got something going on Wednesdays.
Don't know if it's youth groups, church groups, whatever they got going, but boy,
Cheap
are they
hot
packing
dogs,
the
something.
house. Right. Had as many people there yesterday afternoon as they had for the first 2 games combined. They saw the Twins wallop the A's 14-4. Milwaukee scored 1 in the 9th, 1 in the 10th, 2 in the 11th. Beat Atlanta 7-6 and 11. Mets beat the Cards 11-4, but Scherzer had to take himself out of the game in the 6th inning. He said his side hurts. The injuries are really beginning to pile up on the Mets. It hasn't hurt them in the standings yet, but wait about an hour and a half, and it probably will. Colorado had lost 12 straight to the Giants. They scored 3 in the 8th to win 5-3. Same score, Dodgers beat Arizona. Remember the night before when Houston scored 9 in the second, hit 5 homers? Yeah, Nick Pivetta took it personally for the Red Sox. He threw a complete game 2 hitter. 5-1 Boston over Houston. Game took 2 hours and 38 minutes. A Red Sox game took 2:38. You see, it can be done. Zach Wheeler, 7 shutout innings. Phillies 3-0 over the Padres. Seattle avoids the sweep in Toronto 5-1. Pirates beat the Cubs 3-2. Texas got a 2-run homer in the 10th to beat the Angels 6-5, and KC 6-2 over the White Sox. tell you what, the Eagles on paper look damn close to the Cowboys. They've had a terrific offseason, and they added to it yesterday. They signed former Giants cornerback James Bradbury. He gets 1 year, $7.5 million, with $2.5 million in incentives that they think he can reach if he stays healthy. So he could get $10 million. Jarvis Landry and James Bradbury have been signed in the last few days. These are good players. What are teams doing?
We're not supposed to take vacations till July, David, but it seems like a lot of teams' front offices are sleeping right now.
The CFL and their players reached a tentative agreement. Apparently, there was a strike north of the border, just the second one in the history of the league. So now everybody's going to show up at training camp and all's well in the CFL, a league that's really struggling financially. Pat has always thought that the NFL should buy it. I don't think it's the worst idea in the world.
No, but they're more interested in the XFL for whatever reason.
And Nick Saban, who's making $11.5 million, said that A&M got the number one recruiting class because every recruit got an NIL deal. They all got paid. We didn't do that, but you know what? We may have to. Bud Elliott will join us at 8 o'clock to talk about it. Nick Saban complaining about things in college football. Now that's rich.
Really is.
That is rich. And that, Mark, was...
That was the Starting Five every weekday morning at this time on Miller and Moulton.
By the way, what did he think was going to happen? I mean, Miller and Moulton knew this was going to happen. We don't know squat. A couple of yahoos. We knew this was going to happen. We said we were okay with it, though. Take 3 to 5 years. Let the dust settle. Pick your cliche, and then we'll figure it out going forward.
I don't know what he was ultimately thinking, but I think part of it was to let people know, if we want to get in the game that others are, we can make this canyon even wider than it already is. That's how I took it. We can jump into one bad year. We'll jump in and show you what it's really like if we put what we have behind NIL.
I would look at him and go, so you can get better? The last 15 years have been pretty good. By the way, you only get to keep about 25 of them, Nick. You got to throw the rest of the fish back in the pond. Miller and Moulton.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the Chicken Bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial and use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial and use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Did you see Matthew Tkachuk chirp Evander Kane and ask him if he needed some money?
Oh, that's
He looks at him and he goes,
fantastic.
Money? Money? I believe so.
That's good stuff.
That's all time stuff right there. Nine six.
Just throw one of those in. Usually one of those games happens in like game 4. You know, just midway through the series, we have one game that all hell breaks loose. But game 1.
All right. What game do we have to get to have 15 combined goals in the series from this point forward? Will it be game 4 or game 5 before we get to 15 combined goals?
You mean the rest of the way?
Yeah. I think
no.
game 4, they'll hit it.
Well, let's see. A couple of 4-3 games, that'd be 14. So maybe an empty netter in game 3. Maybe.
Because I think game 2 or game 3 will be low. One of them is going to be a 2-1.
You're probably right. It'll probably take till game 4. But Mike Smith is in the nets for Edmonton, so anything's possible.
There's that.
What's our poll question?
How will Tiger do this week in the PGA?
Problem is he tees off in 3 hours.
All right.
I mean, you can still do it.
How about Nick? Is there something off of what Nick said to come up with a poll question?
You can still do Tiger. You're better off doing Tiger. You know, I thought of a poll question.
Okay.
It probably doesn't work for us, but I was just thinking about it last night. So Rory and Spieth are both one major away from the career Grand Slam.
Right.
If I were to tell you that one of the two gets the major they're looking for, which one is it?
Ooh. Ricky Fowler.
Wow, look at you. That is not Kevin Durant right there.
No, it's not. I'd say Spieth. Put it this way, I don't know if Rory ever wins another major. Period. Let alone career Grand Slam. I have win top 10, make cut, miss cut, unless you want to go with something else.
I like it.
I have a small fact about Matthew Tkachuk.
Oh my God.
Okay. You going to give it to us or use this as a tease?
I'm going to use it as a tease.
What's your fact?
You'll see.
Okay, but we're not going to be talking about that when we come back. That's the problem. We're not talking about Calgary Edmonton on this show, probably for.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Hour number 2 of Miller and Moulton on this Thursday. Thanks so much for being with us. The Florida Sports Network coming at you from St. Louis. Joe Buck and ESPN trying to look something different, called the Mega Cast in conjunction with Peyton Manning's Omaha Productions. Going to try to do golf just a little bit differently. Actually, a lot differently. So it's an alternative broadcast. We'll see if people like it. Like, it's my understanding, Mark, that Omaha Productions is not part of the Michael K. A-Rod alternative baseball broadcast. That's something that ESPN is just trying to do on their own.
Omaha! Sorry, when I hear it, I feel like I have to yell it.
I understand. I do. I mean, we're at a PBS station in St. Louis. They put the set together yesterday. There's a golf cart on it. All right. Not as nice as, the folks at, Southwest Florida golf carts. I got to admit. And their stuff's a lot nicer, but, there's a real golf cart on the set. They got one of those small little putting areas. Michael Collins has his golf bag, which says America's Caddy on it. It's kind of funny. So most people don't know Buck's like pretty much a scratch golfer.
Here's my question, because you're doing it at a PBS studio. Will you have to stop at any point during the megacast and do any fundraising?
No, but we'll say Michael Collins doing Sesame Street impressions yesterday during rehearsals was outstanding. If we can get him to go back down that road today, I have a feeling the critics will be talking about it.
Well, so the listeners, not the critics, are talking, David, because earlier in the show, you and I got into a discussion during the break of what is an A, what is a B, and what is a C.
Right.
You contend that an 80 is a C.
It's not a B.
Well, actually it is in a lot of parts of the world.
Well, that says a lot.
This person says D's get degrees. Thank you very much for that. And then two that are on your side, 90 to 90, 93 to 100 was an A, which means that an 80 in his world was a C. This person says, when I started school, 80 was a C. I'm 41, and this was in Ohio. Goes on to say, listen to the show every morning. So does the whole crew. So thanks to the whole crew for listening. But I have it up as my own personal poll question. I put one up on the Florida Sports Network account as well, but I did throw up, if you score an 80 on a test, what grade is that? Right now, 69% of you say that is a B. 31% say that it is a C.
I say put it up. Let's double down. Put it on the Florida Sports Network. It'll get more votes than Tiger in the damn PGA. It will. And this is Tiger. Tiger never loses a poll to anyone or anything. But if you go non-sports, Mark, that's where the votes lie.
Well, we also have a Tiger poll question up. And that is just how he's going to do in the PGA. Win, top 10, make cut, miss cut.
I don't think he top 10s it, but I think he top 20s it. I could see second page of the leaderboard for Tiger, second or third page. I could. I mean, if he finished like 40-something at Augusta, I could see cutting that sucker in half at the PGA.
And I probably could have gone top 20, but top 10's a little more fun. I think he'll be right around the top 10 number based on all the reports of how he's hitting the ball, his attitude towards how he's hitting the ball. He thinks he's feeling pretty well.
Yeah, he gave the indication that it's just a matter of, hey, it's going to hurt. I'm going to hurt for the rest of my life. That's just the way it is. So it's just a pain thing.
And his pain tolerance is obviously better than most golfers. He did play a U.S. Open on a broken leg.
He did. Yep.
Grayson's bailing out because his wrist isn't 100%.
Now, let's take it easy. Your wrist is a pretty significant injury for a golfer. I actually think it's smart, particularly the way he plays. He doesn't play at 85%. I think he's trying to hit it too hard as it is. So.
Twitch chat room, by the way, has your back on this 80 as a C. The Twitter poll has my back that the 80 is a B. I'm just saying that my Catholic school was a lot easier than I really ever imagined.
Do you think it's because you were paying and they wanted to keep parents who were paying happy so that their kids were coming home with better grades, therefore they were happier? They were thinking that their kids were look at the good education that they're getting, and look, Johnny's getting all B's.
I got to double check because I went to a public school for once. When the 3 Catholic schools combined, my dad was not into it, so I went to a public school for a semester, and I could have sworn when I was at that public school, 80 was a B. So I think that's a Saginaw County thing more than anywhere else. I mean, come on, it's Michigan. We had to give a lot of breaks to people.
Don't know about that, but okay. This isn't a tax break to try to get business to downtown Detroit. I mean, this is just a matter of what's an A, what's a B. I do think we get into the whole pluses and minuses discussion, though. That one to me is outstanding. So what's the line of demarcation? So to you, is 80 the line of demarcation? That's a B minus, 79's a C plus?
Correct. I'm just telling you, that's like 6 to 9 was a plus, 1 to 3 was a minus. That's how our grades worked.
Okay.
Don't know what to tell you. 90 to 93 was, or 0 to 3 was a minus.
Okay.
4 to 6 was the grade. 7 to 0 was a plus on the other side.
Oh, wow. A plus. You could get an A plus. For as much
and a couple of those in algebra, as a matter of fact, went down as a 4.3 on my grade point. Thought it was fantastic when I was a younger kid.
For as much as our generation and those that are older than us, and for those that don't know, Mark's 52, I'm 56. For as much as we make fun of, well, let's just give out participation trophies to everybody. I mean,
are you comparing my B minus to a participation trophy?
No, the A plus, I always, give me a break. All right, it's an A. Okay, that's like giving 110%. You can't. You can only give 100%. All right? If you're saying I gave it 110%, you're actually saying this time I gave it everything I had. Come to think about it, last time I gave it about 91%.
By the way, it's along the same lines of let me be honest with you. Really, as opposed to lying to me the rest of the time?
Correct.
I've tried to ban myself from saying that. And believe it or not, it's when you make the conscious effort to do that, you don't realize how many times you say, well, to be honest with you, because I was lying to you the other 14 times that I spoke to you.
And I think a lot of us say, to be honest with you, it's really translated, well, I'm actually going to divulge and give you more than what I would normally give you. I mean, I tell you the truth normally, but, I give you just enough to get by. Now, I'm actually going to reveal a little something. That's how I take when somebody says, including me, when, we say, well, to be honest with you. It's kind of like, I don't normally answer this question, but, this time I will. To be honest with you, no. That sort of deal. I do love all these grading scales that we're getting, though.
Yeah, the grade debate has gone into full force here on the Twitch chat room and in the text line as well.
So 90 was an A.
It was an A minus, but yes,
Gotcha.
90 was an A.
All right.
And you didn't get if an A was a 4 in your world, you did not get a 4.0 for a 90. You got like a 3.67 or something, 3.7. I don't exactly remember, but you didn't get the full, caveat of getting the A.
Right.
Hence the A minus.
Listen, I can justify the pluses and minuses. I mean, I'm not that much of a grade snob. I really can.
You certainly are starting to sound like one.
No, I get it. I do.
I mean, your mom
But-
worked you over the working in the schools as
Oh,
a school nurse.
man, oh, man.
No pluses and minuses in her world.
The only parent I knew that showed up at parent-teacher conference night looked at the teacher and said, listen, I know you're right. You just tell me what I need to do when I get home to beat him. All right? I know he's a problem. Meanwhile, I've got nothing but A's and B's. And my mom's sitting down at the teacher going, I know he's a handful. What do I need to do? What are you talking about? I got A's. But, Mark, let's face it, you and I both got the same report card. At the bottom, we could get an A and still get an unsatisfactory. Why? Talks too much.
That's why we do a show together. Pretty much nails it right there. They didn't really, and to think about it, David, the counselors never could have told us you need to go into talk radio because it wasn't a medium when we were meeting with counselors back then. The job that we walked into that was built for us our entire life wasn't a job during any of our school time.
That's why all those vice principals and guidance counselors looked at us the way they did, because they're like, listen, you guys got skills, just none of them exist in the real world.
Salesman, that's what you should do. Sales.
Yeah. Did you ever think vacuum cleaners? You guys would be pretty good at those. Go down to your local Woolworths and apply.
Go knock on some doors. Do the door-to-door stuff.
Right. Sell packaged meat out of the back of your car. I did that for a couple of months. Let me tell you, that's hard. That's hard. And that was then. I mean, now we don't open the doors for anybody. But, I mean, that was when you didn't mind when somebody knocked on your door. You'd actually chat them up a little bit, but still. So what are you selling me? Meat. Really?
That is another poll question in and of itself. Do you answer the door when someone knocks at it?
Oh, my goodness. My wife is like that comedian, Maniscalco. She hides underneath the couch, grabs the sword, and then says to me, you check them out. See who's there. Okay, if it's someone friendly, do you want me to open it? No. Well, then why am I checking it out?
Miller and Moulton. A reminder, our golf tournament is June the 11th. More witty repartee at that. It'll be at the West Bay Club. Go to floridasportsnetwork.com to sign up. floridasportsnetwork.com. Would love to see this thing get sold out sooner than later. We had a few more foursomes added yesterday, hoping for a few more today. Join us, West Bay, on June the 11th, brought to you by Southwest Florida Golf Carts, Twin Peaks, and Budweiser.
And we'll be selling meat out of the back of a van on the first tee. No?
We could.
Tell you what,
Or we
knowing
could
the
do
crew,
hot dogs.
knowing the crew that's signing up, if we allowed them to bring all the stuff they're selling, okay, we'd have a hell of a putting green.
Miller and Moulton, we thank you for listening. Back with more in a moment right here on the Florida Sports Network.
Mark, we're playing golf.
Saturday, June 11th, a scramble at the West Bay Club in Estero. Go to floridasportsnetwork.com to sign up now.
I'd like to thank Budweiser, Twin Peaks, Florida Golf Carts. Got some good stuff there. flgolfcarts.com.
Where are you going to go? floridasportsnetwork.com. Sign up for our tournament Saturday, June 11th, a scramble at the West Bay Club in Estero. Your golf will include your foursome and a chance to have lunch and awards after.
Sign up at floridasportsnetwork.com.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles Or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Whatever. Point is,
Hey, David.
Yes. Oh, yeah. I did the golf show for a couple years, DC. With Jim Adelson. Yeah, I'm glad somebody caught the Woolworth reference there. Did you see what Canada Relief in the Twitch chat room said? Do the two of you ever miss each other when on the road? No. No. I spend more time with Mark than I do my wife.
I spend more time with David's wife than I do David. Oh, sorry.
But you know,
hey, did you ever try to get a hold of Bob McKenzie? TSN.
I don't think so.
Because he's got a place in Naples, yes. Well, I talked to you about it because on his Twitter handle, he said he's between wherever in Canada and Naples, Florida. I have no idea.
so my Matthew Kachuk fact is the fact that him and Jason Tatum graduated in the same high school class.
Which, again, in that segment wouldn't have added anything. That's why I asked you what it was.
Right. But I should have said it in the moment.
Do you ever notice sometimes David and I talk about things during the break and then we say, hey, we're going to do that on air?
I know.
Everything doesn't have to be spontaneous. Sometimes it's got to be talked out. That's all.
I saw his name last night and I was like, hey, didn't he go to high school with Jason Tatum?
I will say that is an interesting factoid. I mean, to have two, I wonder if they were in the same class, but
I think they were.
I mean, that's to have two guys that skilled, that elite at their respective sports coming out of the same high school class is pretty remarkable.
You mean like Scheffler, Kershaw, and Matt Stafford?
Right.
Yeah, but they were different classes, obviously. Same high school. But
Kershaw
and Stafford, I thought.
Kershaw and Stafford are pretty close there in age. They may only be separated by a year. They could be in the same class.
Maybe. Didn't Stafford and
I mean, they played sports together all through growing up.
Yeah,
I thought they graduated together. Both graduated in 2006. So no, you're actually wrong. They graduated the same high school the same year.
Who's the other one again from that high school?
Scheffler. No, they're both from, and neither is Stafford. They're both from Dallas.
Dallas.
Highland Park High School or something like that.
Mm-hmm. It was an old trick that Vern used to do because he was so familiar with Texas. So when he needed to fill time, if a certain player came up who went to a Texas high school, he would mention the high school, and then he would start talking about where it is and and just, that little 10, 12 seconds to just kind of fill it in. And
that's why I was a big hometown guy with hockey.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
Thanks so much for being with us. 21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network. We're going to be on in 3 states next week.
3 states, David.
What the heck? Obviously, we're part of the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. We're in 4 markets. We're told Daytona's just, getting their act together, working on the tower, but apparently we've already got a deal with a station in Daytona. That'll make 5. So, we're growing this thing slowly but surely. But the people who own the Florida Sports Network own the Michigan Sports Network. And they got a monster of an afternoon show. It's on 134 stations. But the morning show's on 6. And apparently the guy's taking next week off. So instead of making the Felipe of that morning show come up with, 4 or 5 best ofs, they said, hey, I got an idea. Why don't we run those 2 Yahoos in Florida? How much harm could they do? And our answer was, well, how many sponsors can you lose? That's how much harm we could do. We're gifted.
But they're also not only on 6 stations in Michigan, but they're on 1 in Toledo, Ohio. So we're going to be on in Michigan, Ohio, and Florida next week.
This is ridiculous. I'm apparently going to be on ESPN and ESPN2 the next 2 days. I kept looking at Joe saying, are you sure about this?
You need to go shopping today.
I can't. I'm wearing what he's telling me to wear.
Are you going all FGCU?
He told me. I said, Joe, I've got 10 or 12 bucks. I really do. I can buy whatever you want. I go, here's a crazy idea, by the way. The 4-letter network could ship a few 2X shirts to the studio. I could just wear them. I go, hell, I'll wear the same one for 4 days. We won't tell anybody. Whatever. He's like, nope. I want you to wear your FGCU golf shirts. So obviously there's a joke at my expense coming at some point.
Yeah, there is.
Yeah.
Guaranteed.
At least one. And I just don't know if it's coming from Buck or Aikman, who apparently is making an appearance on the show.
So how often are we going to see you?
Well, apparently I'm on the set. Not, Joe and Michael Collins, they got the 2 chairs in the middle. But apparently just off to the right side of the screen, there's a desk and a chair. And at one point, I literally asked the executive producer and said, who's that for? And he looked at me and said, you?
Now I've got to watch.
And I'm like, are you sure?
Would have been great if they would have put a smaller table and a smaller chair like you were at the kids' table behind there.
Right. That's what I'm expecting. But once again, back to school. All right. And the desk, which is attached to the chair. That's what I expected, to kind of shimmy in. And at my age and size, by the way, I don't know if I could get in one of those. And if I got in, I really don't know if I could get out. I might just have to stand up and take the chair with me. They've got a big screen behind me. Apparently, they're going to superimpose the golf course, and they're going to, do work on the chalkboard there. And I'm going to have to get out of the way. And the guy said to me, can you quickly get up and out of the way? And Mark, you would have been proud of me. Only you and I know the reference. But I looked right at him and I said, you've never seen me chase down a foul ball, have you?
Did he at least laugh?
He did, not knowing what the hell I'm talking about. But yes. I don't know if you do it to people. There are times where I say lines to people just for your benefit. Like somehow, some way you're going to know the joke I'm telling.
No, and so where are you going to go out on occasion now, knowing that they don't have a clue what I'm talking about? So a desk and a chair, you're moving on up in the world. I mean, they have no idea what they're getting into with this.
I still don't. I'm not joking when I say this part. I still don't really know what I'm doing. I don't just mean in general. I mean specifically with this show. I think they want to keep the serious golf talk to a minimum between Joe, Michael, and their guests. So like all the stuff that I would hand Joe during a normal golf broadcast, I don't think Joe wants to be bothered with any of that. So I think there may be times during the broadcast in which they'll almost be like, hey, Moulton, who won the 82 PGA when it was here? That was Ray Floyd, Joe. Thanks. You know, I don't know. I think that's what my role's going to be. A poor man's, Stanford Steve, Bear, Stump the Schwab type thing.
Hey. I know. We all know what Buck and Aikman got paid. So you saying poor man's anything doesn't apply to you anymore. You could be rich guy's aide. I don't care what it is, but poor man's whatever doesn't work, because once Joe and Troy made their move to the mouse, there's nothing poor man's anything about any part of their broadcast, whether you're on it or not, sir.
Well, here's the funny thing. My wife did say to me last night, hey, because, the hotel's on my credit card, the plane's on my credit card, all the expenses here, they're just credit card. And my wife just very calmly says, how much you getting paid for this gig? And I had to tell her the truth. I said, honey, I have no idea. She's like, wait, what? And I'm like, yeah, Joe said, hey, I need you. And will you come out and do this? And I went, sure. And she's like, wait a minute. That's how you guys operate? I'm like, honey, I don't know what to tell you. We're men. Draw your own conclusions. At some point, I know the expenses are going to be taken care of.
Right.
We'll work out the details later. Right, Mark?
Right. I don't know anything about his family life. I don't know what his last 4 jobs were, nor do I care. What did we talk about? We talked about sports.
Yeah. Seems like a nice guy. Yep. So at the end of the phone call, she goes, I love you. Just one question. You really don't know what you're getting paid? I go, no, I have no idea. Hasn't been discussed. She goes, well, don't you have a contract? I go, no.
Contract? What, are you kidding me?
Didn't you have to fill out some forms? No. So, at some point, I'm sure it'll even out.
Who knew that working for basically a major network for a major production was an under-the-table job? Nice done, David. Only you can pull this off.
I'm pretty sure they're not aware. But that's how we roll, I guess.
They're having their golf tournament. We're having ours. It's June 11th at West Bay. Go to floridasportsnetwork.com, floridasportsnetwork.com for your everything you need, the signups. It is going to be June 11th at West Bay. Want to thank the folks at Budweiser, Twin Peaks, and Southwest Florida Golf Carts for their participation in this tournament. Hope to see you out there at West Bay on June the 11th.
For those asking what channels, you're not going to believe this. Channels you've actually heard of before. It's 1 to 5 today and tomorrow, this mega cast that Buck and Michael Collins are doing, the first hour of which, 1 to 2, is on ESPN. The 2 to 5 part gets switched over to ESPN2. So that's today and tomorrow. And then they do it 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. on the weekends. First hour on ESPN. Next 3 get moved to Plus for those that are interested.
David's taking Victor Hovland. I am taking Jordan Spieth for the tournament this week. Tiger tees off at 9:11 this morning. You'll be able to catch his last 3-4 holes of the tournament when they join the tournament on ESPN. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network.
Mark, we're playing golf.
Saturday, June 11th, a scramble at the West Bay Club in Estero. Go to floridasportsnetwork.com to sign up now.
I'd like to thank Budweiser, Twin Peaks, and Southwest Florida Golf Carts. Got some good stuff there, flgolfcarts.com.
Where are you going to go? floridasportsnetwork.com. Sign up for our tournament, Saturday, June 11th, a scramble at the West Bay Club in Estero. Your golf will include your foursome and a chance to have lunch and awards after.
Sign up at floridasportsnetwork.com.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Johnny Mac, I have not told my wife about the shopping cart in the room. No.
She'd be mortified.
Mortified. She's already mortified. I'm wearing FGCU golf shirts on TV. Hops, the funny thing is that's a local app. The local company has that app, and the national company was okay with it. Didn't try to buy it back or anything. Yeah, Arch, my guess is that that's what's going to come up at some point. So who are they? And I'm going to have to go, Chris Sale, Dunk City. No, nothing. Bueller.
Cars are pulling in. They are showing Tiger walking down the road in shorts and t-shirt, hat backwards with his golf stuff, like he's carrying it to the clubhouse from wherever he parked. They're just showing him walking down the street.
He's carrying his bag.
No, he's carrying a belt, pants, and a golf shirt. Now here's enough of Tiger walking down the street. Here's Andy North to talk about Tiger.
Oh, guys, he looked good.
Did you see that gait? Boy, could he walk.
It's a much better gait than he had at Augusta just a month ago. I will say this, PGA in May is a much better thing for the golf season, I believe.
I do too.
April, May, June, July. And even though most of us aren't interested, they then jam in their little cash grab playoff stuff right around.
So they do start on ESPN Plus at 8 a.m., huh? Today's the day.
$5.99 a month.
Stealing my mom's. She bought the package with Hulu and Disney Plus.
There you
I
go.
just got to find the sign-up stuff and take care of that. Besides, how else am I going to be able to watch you this weekend?
Right.
I hope Rory plays great. I hope I am dead wrong. First group, 3 defending champs. Sean McKeel, Y.E. Yang, and John Daly. Hey, are 1 in 10 tees really close to one another here?
I'll be honest with you, I don't know.
The only reason I ask is they're going off of both sides, but they're
10
going off
seconds.
5 minutes apart. Like 7 and then 7:05, then 7:11. So it's just, I figured they've got to be reasonably close because of that.
That makes sense.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes before the hour. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network. Bud Elliott at the top of the hour. Mark Lai, 1 hour from now. The PGA about ready to get underway. Pretty much, I think, at the top of the hour. And then in our 9 o'clock hour, David Dwork, who covers the Panthers, has a Panthers blog. Season could be on borrowed time here. They don't win tonight. One of the South Florida teams needs to win tonight, and it's not the Miami Heat.
I could argue they both need to win tonight. I know the Heat are the 1 seed, and they can get this done, and they can win a road game. But I think 1-1 Heat could end up 3-1 Boston really quickly.
So are you willing to say that the winners tonight in the 2 series on the East Coast are going to win the respective series?
I'm willing to say it in basketball. I'm not so sure, even if Florida wins tonight, that they're going to win the series. They'll lose the series if they don't beat Tampa tonight. That I would guarantee you. But I don't think winning for the Florida Panthers does anything more than extend this series and gives them a great shot. I picked the Lightning, but I'm reserved about that pick in the series because I think the Florida Panthers are a better team. They just don't have the better goaltender. But in basketball, if Boston wins tonight, I think Boston wins the series. If Miami wins tonight, I think Miami wins the series. I think this game is everything. Felipe, I know you're giant Mr. Heat guy, and if I try to say anything derogatory about the Heat, what was great is yesterday, I think before the show, during one of the breaks, Felipe's complaining about Bam Adebayo's performance. When I brought it up on air, the first thing, well, he had 3 really big blocks. He can't even, I repeated what he said a day ago, and it wasn't good enough because he is so glass half full with Heat, and that's fine. He's a Heat fan. But Felipe, diehard Heat fan, everything in your world is Heat. They're the best team. They're the most important team. They lose tonight. How confident are you they can win this series?
Well, they'd have to obviously steal a game in Boston, but I think if they would steal a game, I think that game would be game 6.
Wow.
So yes, I'm still confident.
And that would be down, in that case, you're down 3-1.
Well, 3-2, yeah.
Well,
right. But yes, down 3-1, have to stay alive, right.
And win 3 straight, which would be remarkable if the Heat were to, and that's what I don't think they can do. That's exactly why I think tonight's so important, because I think Boston holds serve at home. If it's 2-2, Miami just has to take care of business in their own barn. That's fine. But I picked Boston in 6 because I think that Boston gets tonight's game. They're 2 at home, and we'll close it out in 6.
I took Boston in 6 as well because I thought it would leave Miami 1-1. And I think they will leave Miami 1-1. I think Boston gets it done tonight. I don't see a, 22-2 run for the Heat in the game tonight. I don't see a quarter in which Jimmy Butler outscores the entire Celtics team. I don't. I will say this, though. If Tyler Hero is going to play the way he did in game 1, the Heat are going to win this series. They needed somebody else. They needed somebody else also who could hit some perimeter shots. Everything, I don't believe they can win this series entirely driving it into the paint, going to the rim. They're gonna have to hit some threes. Butler bailed them out in game 1. Hero said, "I'm here if you need me."
Well, the Heat, they move the ball a lot. So a lot of driving kicks. The Strus was not as loose as he usually is, but when the Strus is loose, it's tough to beat the Heat.
But you'll admit, Felipe, they're a very streaky team from beyond the arc. The numbers over the course of the season are good, but they can have a game like Milwaukee had in game 7 where they were 4 for 33.
Correct. They had back-to-back of those games in the Philly series.
Right. And that's, over the course of 82 games in 6 months, it can average itself out, the whole deal. You get a week and a half, 2-week long series, that can send you home.
Also, I'm not too concerned about our perimeter shooting because for some reason, Eric Spoelstra has decided not to play the best three-point shooter in the NBA. Well, not the best three-point shooter, but top 5.
Well, they shot 30% from outside three-point range in game 1. And that's with Hero going 1 of 5 and Butler going 0 of 2. So, I mean, they actually, Vincent was good. Strus was good, whatever. Those 3-point numbers are acceptable.
Right.
Yes.
But I was referring to the fact that Robinson has not played.
No. I've got you. But Hero's the one that you're right. And Hero's the one they've decided upon to be their 3-point guy. And he had a great game without a good game from 3-point range.
And I don't know if we're going to see Duncan Robinson much, except in garbage time the rest of the playoffs, because when everybody was pounding the table saying, why is he not playing against Philly? Well, Spoelstra gave him a decent run in one of the games, which they won going away. But Duncan Robinson couldn't put the ball in the ocean that day. And I think Spoelstra kind of looked around at everybody like, you don't mind if I coach this team the rest of the way, do you? So whatever's going on, he's out of the rotation.
Right. But it really is just a testament of their depth. They're probably the deepest team in the NBA.
I don't disagree with that. I don't. Don't know if they'll get Boston 100% at all in this series. And the Heat are not 100% also because they don't have Lowry. But
And where they're going to need Lowry is in Boston.
Yes.
Because we've seen this, that the secondary players, it doesn't matter what series it is, don't shoot as well behind the arc on the road. I don't care what team it is. We've seen that with every team. It's a very obvious statement to make. But So far, it's held true. And that's where I think Lowry would be a big factor, games 3, 4, and 6 in Boston, when you're going to need a second score for Butler, when you're going to need someone. And that's where maybe it's Oladipo, on the road, that they're going to get some scoring out of him as well. Because you're right, they're very deep. And Oladipo, I think, will be a part of this if they're going to win games in Boston.
Celtics are 4-2 on the road in the playoffs. Terrific road team. I think they have the best record in the league after Christmas. So can the Heat beat them twice in a row at home? How many people have beaten Boston twice in a row? In fact, Milwaukee couldn't. Did they win 4? No, Boston won game 4.
Well, there was a closeout game, so they had to have 2 in a row somewhere, didn't they?
Yeah,
Boston 3-2.
Well, Boston won the 2 in a row. I'm saying teams beating Boston 2 in a row. I'm trying to think, because Milwaukee won game 1 and game 3. And then they won game 5.
Okay.
So the Milwaukee-Boston series was very much the Lightning-Leaf series, in which the Celtics win 6 and 7, much like the Lightning won 6 and 7. And here are the Lightning, who were facing elimination a week ago. And now here they are up 1-0 on the Panthers.
I may put a third poll question up with just who you got tonight. Because I think game 2 between the Heat and the Celtics is the series. I think the series is tonight.
By the way,
I'm convinced of it.
it is so close to determine who is better right now between Tatum or Butler. They're right at the same level.
Butler's done it a little longer, and he's done it on the bigger stage longer, but Tatum's much younger.
I mean, Tatum was thrown into the fire right out the gates of his career.
I understand. Has he been to a finals? Has he taken a team to a finals? Listen, these two teams, I think, were separated by 1 game in the standings over 6 months. I would be very surprised if there's much separation in this series at all. It's why I think Boston wins tonight. I really do. I thought Boston got a bad break. They had to come back and play on Tuesday. I thought the NBA kind of gave them a little, hey, how about a little something for the effort here? No?
Hey, look, they both can win a rock fight, but don't you think the lower the score in game 2, it benefits the Heat more? I think the more defensive game 2 is, the more it benefits the Heat. That I could be wrong with that, but I actually think if this is a rock fight, it gives the Heat a better chance tonight.
It would benefit the Heat even more if they had Lowry, because he controls the pace of the game so well. They call him QB1.
And right now the word is he's not going to play. Meanwhile, Mark, can the Panthers win a game if they don't score a power play goal?
I don't think so. I really don't. I think that the biggest difference in this series is going to be special teams. And if Florida doesn't figure it out tonight, then they're going to be golfing with Toronto pretty soon.
Game 1, 4-1. Lightning at 3 power play goals. Panthers at 0. Also, Lightning had twice as many chances on the power play. Once again, Florida, stay out of the box. Come on now. These guys are really good. They can beat you 5-on-5, and not many teams can. But you can't play them 4-on-5.
Well, and Burnett's got to come up with something, because there was a clear coaching advantage for John Cooper, everybody thought, in this series. Burnett's a guy that is thought of being a power play guy. He was a great power play player when he played junior hockey. He was, in fact, line mates with the guy that I'm pretty good friends with. They had about 120 goals between the two of them in junior 1 year. He knows how to play on the power play. They've got to figure out something, do something differently. And they actually weren't getting the puck in the zone all that easily. I mean, the power play's got to be, even if it doesn't score, sometimes a 2 minutes of a lot of action can be just enough. They weren't even getting that, David. They weren't even getting good power plays. It's one thing to not score when you're moving the puck around getting shots. It's another to not get offensive possession, to not be able to get quality shots and not get chances. And that's where I think the Panthers were, David.
Hockey teams and players, Mark, I believe in momentum more than maybe any other sport. They believe that you can, like you said, have a good power play. You didn't score, but you kept it in the zone. You made them work. You got a bunch of good chances, and that leads to good shifts to follow. I could sit here and argue with you one shouldn't have anything to do with the other, but hockey teams believe it. They believe if you put 8, 10, 12 good minutes of a forecheck together and this, that, and the other thing, it's going to lead to a goal. When one bounce of the puck and one great pass could easily lead to a breakaway the other way and a goal, they don't think that way. That hockey teams think about, you're building momentum with each shift. And you're right. There was nothing in game one in which the Panthers, even though they scored early, they were not building momentum as the game went on.
Hey, and the other thing, it sounds silly, but you watched it last night. Did you see the fans in Calgary, Alberta? Did you see the fevered pitch at which that game started? The Florida crowd is not doing anything to help the Florida Panthers out. When the game shifts over, when the series shifts to Tampa, trust me, the Lightning crowd have something to do with the game. They get it. They're hockey fans. The Florida hockey fan is not. They're there because it's the second round of playoffs against Tampa.
And the other thing,
that's cliche and sounds stupid, but as much as the momentum thing, you say players buy into that too.
And also, let's be brutally honest. The Panthers think they can win. The Lightning know they can win. The Lightning are winning. They beat them last year. They're up 1-0 this year. And they won game one in a somewhat similar fashion. Game one last year was much higher scoring, more frenetic. But what was the difference in game one last year? Panthers took too many penalties. Lightning made them pay with late third period goals. What happened in game one? Panthers took too many penalties. Lightning made them pay on the power play late.
So big game twos tonight in the Sunshine State. One in hockey, one in basketball. I think the basketball will determine the series winner. The hockey could determine the series winner if somehow Tampa is able to go steal two in Sunrise.
I think it's going to be a long basketball series, even if the Heat go up 2-0. Because I also don't think it matters if it's 3-1. Like, I think Boston down 3-1 can come back and at least force a game 7. I really do. I don't know that home court is huge in this series. I think both teams are built to win on the road. They're good defensively. They've got elite players. Miller and Moulton. Bud Elliott at the top of the hour to talk about the state of college sports.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the Chicken Bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Mark, we're playing golf.
Saturday, June 11th, a scramble at the West Bay Club in Estero. Go to floridasportsnetwork.com to sign up now.
I'd like to thank Budweiser, Twin Peaks, and Southwest Florida Golf Carts. Got some good stuff there, flgolfcarts.com.
Where are you going to go? floridasportsnetwork.com. Sign up for our tournament Saturday, June 11th, a scramble at the West Bay Club in Estero. Your golf will include your foursome and a chance to have lunch and awards after.
Sign up at floridasportsnetwork.com.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
You know, DC, that's a hell of a point. I wanted that for the Leaf fan. I really don't want that for the Heat because I like them, but man, it would be fun to watch just to see Philly have a meltdown. I mean, you should.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be fun for you.
You'd have a meltdown if they lost 3-1.
It wouldn't
series.
be fun for me.
No, I know. I wasn't referring to you. I was referring to me.
So you don't care about me?
I do care
my
about you,
mental-
but
I would lose my.
but you need to be broken down a little bit.
Please, I was at
Your-
Game 6 of the
Your
2011.
confidence levels up here. Bringing it down would not
Mark.
be a bad thing.
Mark, I went to Game 6 of the 2011 NBA Finals.
Okay.
That was argued like the Heat should have beat the Mavericks. LeBron choked. Dirk shit on the entire city of Miami. I know what pain is.
No, you don't.
That was pain.
Not at 11.
We were so favored to win that too.
Oh, look at that. You don't have to call Bud. He's coming in via phone.
Phone or computer?
Computer, rather.
I'm on a computer. Good.
Oh, hey, bud.
My camera got knocked down. So is
Let's go with that one. No, I can't do that one.
that a little better?
Yeah, that's great.
Cool. What you guys up to? Slow morning, right?
Slow more. Well, a little, you know, you got the Florida factor. How about Nick? God bless him.
Oh man, what a content gift that is.
I like the studio setup there. I like that a lot better.
Thank you. Yeah, it's my PO box next to it. There's a little antique store, and they got all these old school bottles. I got the Eddie Robinson 324 back before the NCAA recognized his wins.
Okay,
and Coke still made him a bottle. So apparently you can't get that one on YouTube or on eBay.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I'm
Love
not really like a collector type, but it worked out pretty good.
That looks good.
Thank you. Oh man.
Well, look at you.
Yeah, I took the off season to redo the room.
Well, but also wasn't expecting you to join us this way. How are you?
I'm doing well. I thought I said computer.
No, you said phone.
Oh shit!
I sent both. That's I didn't
Right.
even when he said you were on. I just sent the email this morning because I had to send it to David anyhow because he's in St. Louis. So.
Oh, nice. St. Louis for.
Oh, you will see, David. He's doing the Manning cast.
Yeah, they're doing a mega cast for the PGA.
Oh, nice.
The first out, they're actually starting ESPN's coverage every day. 1 to 2 today and tomorrow. It'll be Joe Buck, Michael Collins, and for whatever reason, they've got me set up on the side. I think to just throw in the occasional golf factoid.
Nice. Okay.
So I was told to dress comfortably and wear FGCU golf shirts. So
Perfect. Right.
Okay, I can do that.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Yeah. So
Oh man.
my guess is this is going to be universally panned by Twitter because golf fan hates anything that's not unbelievably traditional. But
Yeah.
then again, they're doing this for the non-golf fan.
I mean, I think it should be really, really fun. We did not do our PGA Championship pool this year because a lot of people were out of town, unfortunately, on business trips. But my buddy is a big Koepka fan, and he bet me straight up I have Rahm. So, like,
I like your chances.
okay, yeah, I do too.
So let's see there. I see Rose Bowl. You already said the Eddie Robinson. That's a Bear Bryant.
Yeah, no, it's not a Bear Bryant. It's a Jimmy Fikes, Western Kentucky national title one.
Oh,
Old school. I got Penn State. This is the Arizona State's last Rose Bowl in 1987, I believe. This is Irk Russell, the Georgia Southern guy, and then this is the NC State 1983. I think that's the Valvano team.
Mm-hmm.
And then I also have this Clemson 1981, classic one. So,
nice.
Yeah.
All right, we got 15.
And then this guy was apparently like the Phil Steele of Phil Steele. You ever heard of Stanley Woodward?
No, that was Phil Steele before Phil Steele?
In 1949, he was doing all this stuff, calling all these coaches and writing about it, like post World War II.
We're coming back now.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Thrilled to be joined by Bud Elliott of 24/7 Sports, CBS Sports, Cover 3 Podcasts, Nolecast. Well, that's why we have a hard time getting a hold of him. As you can see, he's a little busy. He's redone his basement. It's another reason to check us out on the Miller and Moulton Twitch.tv channel, because his set looks tremendous. It looks like you're moving up in the world. I got to be honest.
Yeah, so I'm on CBS HQ quite often, which is an awesome streaming channel you guys should check out. Also available on Pluto on your smart TVs. And they're like, yeah, we don't love the checkered background, but the podcast listeners on the Cover 3 podcast did like the checkered background. And this room, the layout's terrible. So I needed some time to really kind of experiment and figure out ordered a couple different bookcases, figured out which ones could actually fit here. Like, I mean, I can measure, but which ones would look okay. And settled on this one. Put some little YouTube, like Twitch streamer lights, to backlight it. And here we are.
Very professional, looking very good with a little college football look and some old college Coke bottles in the background. But what timing we had, because Bud, I wanted, for like the last 3 weeks, I said to David, can we get Bud on for some time? Because this NIL and the transfer portal, now we've had some time to really sink our teeth into it. And then Nick decides to have a little, talk yesterday, which for David and I, we talked about this earlier, Bud, just your thoughts on it, because if there was ever a time to maybe keep your mouth quiet, Alabama's done pretty well no matter what the system is. Alabama complaining isn't a good look to us. How do you see, and what are the reasons why you think Nick did what he did?
Yeah, I think the motivations are interesting. I genuinely do think that Nick Saban cares about the health of the sport of college football as he thinks it should be, right? And like, go back a week ago, he made the comment of we need to return college football to the parity that we've always had. I'm like, that is not a thing. We have never had parity in this sport. Like, it has never been a sport of parity. It's been a sport of pride in your school and sort of just it's almost golf in a way, right? You're achieving versus your own expectations and kind of playing against your own resources to be able to have a good season, whether that's making a bowl game or whether that is winning a national title. I personally don't think that Nick Saban likes the idea of other people having recruiting advantages against him that maybe he didn't plan for, as far as the timing of it. I'm sure he thought eventually this would probably happen. I'm not sure that he thought that Texas A&M would buy an entire recruiting class and beat him and have the highest rated recruiting class of all time as fast as they did. And I think maybe they were caught a little bit flat-footed last year in the recruiting cycle. It also could just be like, man, if you're that close to the end of your career, and I'm not going to come on here and say Nick Saban's going to retire tomorrow or anything like that, but I do think that how much time does he really have left? Does he really want to adapt and learn a whole new system again? We've already seen him do that, switching to more of an offensive style game, which we know the sport is now. I think he's probably annoyed that like this is a new system and you have to change. Also, as Jimbo said on Sunday, people have been doing NIL for a long time. We just didn't call it NIL. I think Alabama had kind of perfected that, and now they have to kind of revamp their system of compensation.
Follow Bud Elliott on Twitter at BudElliott3. Realistically, I think most people listening right now, they understand the landscape. They understand where we were and where we are now. What's the next step, though? I mean, what the NCAA came out and said 10 days ago, is that realistic? What we think something can be done with the recruiting transfer cycle. We think that could be reined in, that when you transfer, you need to transfer during these 2 periods in time so that there's some order to our sport. We don't see where the order comes from with the money. Do you?
No, because I don't think it's going to happen the way that a lot of the schools want it to happen. I mean, remember, the schools just want to keep all the money for themselves. 25 years ago, this month, the coaches had to sue to remove coaching salary caps that the NCAA tried to put in. Remember, they had these quote unquote limited compensation assistant coaches. Like half your coaching staff was not allowed to make essentially a living wage. And of course, the NCAA lost that because it's pretty anti-competitive. And I don't see what's going to happen here that the NCAA can get done. I do think eventually we will go to a situation where college football is run by the major conferences in conjunction with the college football playoff. You're already seeing some major ADs start to discuss this openly. Gene Smith of Ohio State, being one there recently.
But to be honest, isn't that basically how the sports run now?
No, it's not, because so right now Alabama gets the same vote as Liberty when it comes to voting on important issues, right? And that's a big deal when you want to move quickly to address large-scale issues, and honestly, issues that are not impacting most of the programs out there, right? Like FGCU is not losing a battle to whoever is in GCU's conference right now over NIL, but they're getting to vote on things, right? So is Louisiana Monroe and App State are not facing the same issues that the bigger players in the sport are. And I don't think that these big schools are going to want those votes to matter anymore.
Bud, will this take the Big Ten dissolving their alliance with the ACC and the Pac-12 and really Kevin Warren and Greg Sankey being able to sit down? Because after the new TV deal for the Big Ten, what they're getting and what the SEC will be getting will be so much different than the other 3 conferences that they're going to be able to determine whatever the hell, however this sport goes forward, I think.
Yeah, I'm not really entirely sure why the Big Ten decided to have the alliance with the ACC and the Pac-12, other than it just wasn't involved in an SEC expansion, and I think they wanted to just kind of consolidate some power while their deal was going on. They don't really need the ACC and the Pac-12 for anything. I guess maybe there's a fear that the SEC goes to a 2-game, or rather a 2-round conference playoff and follows through on its threat to just stay at 4. And we'll send our 1 champion, but we're going to have a 2-round SEC conference title game, which would be pretty wild. But I do think that, you don't really need that alliance with the ACC and the Pac-12 because you're going to make more money per year than both those leagues combined, essentially.
He's Bud Elliott, 24/7 Sports, the CBS Sports umbrella, Cover 3 podcast, Nolecast. Follow him on Twitter at Bud Elliott 3. All right. What, if anything's going to get done, and when?
So it wouldn't shock me if they try to bring some type of enforcement case against one of the schools that's been pretty brazen about the NIL stuff. I think they would most likely lose that. But it could set an interesting precedent in that the big conferences and the college football playoff could say, hey, NCAA doesn't really have any true jurisdiction, or they're just not effective here in enforcing their own rules. We want to handle our own rules. We want to handle our own enforcement, all this kind of stuff. So maybe they could use that as something to point to break away. There's sort of the idea that maybe they went ahead and pushed the NCAA and enforced this stuff as almost a poison pill, to be able to get out. However, I think they would probably lose in court if they try to enforce that, because it's just pretty clearly anti-competitive. Eventually, I think that we probably get to a situation where you have some unionization, which is probably going to be a terribly weak union for the players, by the way. I mean, these guys are time limited in college to 4 years anyway. And then you could collectively bargain with them, and you probably beat them pretty badly if you're the schools. If you're willing to just go ahead and get to that step, the players are not going to beat you very often because they don't really have any true leverage. Like, they're not going to strike. They only have 4 years of college. So I think that's probably where we go eventually, but that's pretty far down the line. The transfer portal stuff, I think they'll get past. It's not an unreasonable restraint to say, hey, there's 2 windows in which to transfer. And maybe you offer some kind of waivers for additional, transfer times if and when coaches leave outside those windows. For instance, if your coach bounces like in mid-January after the windows close, well, okay, like that makes sense to let the guys out then. I think transfer window, we get past. Obviously, the scholarship stuff is going to go through. And right now, I just think we kind of sit tight.
And the scholarship stuff he's talking about is it was 25 scholarships per year. They're not going to limit the number per year. It's going to be based on how many scholarships you have available. That just seems to promote more gray shirting and benefit the big schools even more, Bud.
Well, so you still have to be under the 85 cap, right? So the reason they did this actually, well, the actual reasoning for it was like Kansas played at almost an FCS level number of scholarships. Like they were at like 65, 67, FCS is 63 for like 4 years because Charlie Weiss screwed them up so bad by just going with all those JUCOs, a lot of whom really couldn't play. And they used all those spots. And so they don't want a school to be in a 4 or 5 year cycle where you are 20 scholarships below the max. That's just difficult. It's also, I think you can actually argue that probably is a player safety issue as well, to be that light on guys compared to all the other teams out there. So I think the 2 things we have to watch for here, one for the player side is, do you continue to have these guaranteed 4-year scholarships? And what does it look like when you have all these kids sort of being pushed out? Like, are these sort of, scholarship withdrawal review committees, are they actually going to have some teeth to them? Or are you just going to let the schools push out whomever because they didn't work out? Which, hey, if they're employees, you can just do that. On the other side, I think it is going to be interesting. Like if you're an AD and you think you might have to fire your coach next year, you need to kind of put your foot down on some of this. Say, hey, we're not taking 40 this year, right? Because you may not be here. Okay, like we're not letting you take 40, 20 of which are JUCOs in an effort to win one more game and save your job and screw us in the long term. I'm not really sure how many ADs are actually thinking about that, but for me, it's almost like you wouldn't let an NFL coach trade away his entire draft to just go for it one last year if he's on the hot seat, right? Like that's not good long-term program stewardship.
I don't know if the ADs have thought of that, and because the coaches will want to gear
doubt.
up and bring in a bunch of JUCOs and bring in a bunch of kids so they can save their jobs so that they can get the contract extension. But 30 seconds, because we're up against a hard break. Is there anyone who's benefiting so much more so now than they were a year ago? Or to me, it seems like it's the same schools.
It is somewhat the same schools, but you are seeing some schools that are able to rebuild this stuff faster. Like I don't think you would see USC doing quite this well just with Lincoln Riley if you didn't have NIL, right? A&M clearly, I mean, if you go back a little more than a year ago, that was a pretty huge recruiting class for them via NIL. Hell, Jackson State got Travis Hunter.
Well, Deion claims he didn't pay for him.
Of course not, David. No one's paying for anybody. They're not getting the NIL money till they get to school. There's no pay for play going on. Don't kid yourself.
I don't think Deion paid for him.
I don't think so either. I think someone
Not
else.
personally.
No.
Right.
More with Bud Elliott on the other side. Your college football questions. Text him in now or come into the Twitch chat room and get your questions for Bud. Miller and Moulton. More with Bud Elliott on the other side on the Florida Sports Network.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, the Training Grove. With
Big
a growing
hard-hitting question
swing
of the day,
training
Bud.
Video library.
An
and the
80. If
daily
you scored an
program
80 on a
prescribed
test
by
in
golf
high
fitness
school,
professionals.
grade school,
the
middle
Grove
school,
provides
was that
clear
80 a
path
B,
to unlock your
or
most
was that
powerful
80 a
swing,
C?
giving you control of your game like
It was a
never
B. It was a B. It was the lowest B you could
We've
get.
finally
you go.
found a way to achieve
I think.
results in half
That was
the
a
time
good
of
10 minutes of the
traditional
show
game
between
improvement
6:18
methods with the
and
Grove's
6:20 this morning.
revolutionary blend of
Yeah,
golf
80 was definitely a B. Because
and
100's an A.
products. Go to
And
orangewhipgolf.com
90, yeah, that's, well,
to get
90
started
was
for
an
a
A in
free
our world, too.
14-day risk.
But not in New Jersey.
Use
93
code
was an A.
Miller10 to get
85 was an A.
$20 off your
David
first
had
month.
much harder
That's
grades, grading scale.
orangewhipgolf.com to get started
Yeah.
for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made
This
to
better
order.
not be
Fries can be Gator, the Cuban.
There's no way this is an Affleck
or the
commercial
Italian.
thing, right? For
Look,
Dion and Nick.
delicious with John Smith Subs.
Yeah.
Find a John
It'd be
Smith
genius
Subs
if it was,
location near
but-
you today. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
I contend Norville is doing well, but that he inherited a situation that was much worse than just about everybody except for you guys reported, and that the Florida State fan is not willing to accept what a shit show they really were that he inherited. And that's why, in their eyes, he's at least a year behind schedule. Am I wrong?
I don't think you're wrong. I also don't think that it really matters all that much what the average Florida State fan thinks. If you recall, his first year was that COVID year, so he didn't get a chance to get out. Like, this is their literal first spring they've ever had on the road, because the first two had COVID restrictions. You weren't allowed to go and meet any high school coaches and whatnot. You also couldn't do the booster tour circuit to actually get out and meet people. However, you could do small group gatherings, and I know for a fact that Mike went and spent time with the biggest boosters of the school and sort of laid out, I think, in a way that Willie didn't do a very good job of. Here's where we are. Here's what I think we'll be. I know for a fact that staff would have killed for 6-6 last year in the preseason. Like, they did not think they were going to be good. Like, all these other podcasts out there we were laughing at, throwing out 9-3 type stuff. I was like, man, this looks like a 5-7, maybe 6-6 team, and they finished 5-7. If you beat Jackson State, or Jacksonville State rather, So I do think that's I think that is largely correct. I'm not convinced that he's improving the program fast enough to stay around for the long term, but he's not going to get fired unless they go like 3-9. Like, he will get 2023. They have other major projects on deck. They're not looking to pay another buyout. As long as he continues to improve the program, in decent fashion, right? They should make a bowl game this year. They have a very hard schedule, and yet their win total is still 7.5 in Vegas. That's easily enough to get him back. Hell, I think he probably comes back at like 5-7. I mean, it would be a lame duck recruiting situation, but they're just not going to pay that buyout right now.
I see that fan bases should be fired up because Florida State's on a Friday night.
Oh God, yeah, everybody's pissed about that. I don't disagree with them being ticked off about that, but I mean,
I don't disagree with ESPN putting it on Friday night.
I don't either. ESPN buys the rights. ESPN can tell you when to play the game, basically.
Well, and if they want to get relevant again, then they can start playing Saturdays again.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, no offense, neither program's relevant right now. Sorry.
I agree. And if you ever want evidence that the TV money has just lapped the fan and booster donation money in terms of how much it matters,
Alabama, Texas at
11 o'clock Central, no doubt.
Yep.
It's hard to find two more moneyed programs there,
Yep.
and they can complain all they want, but guess what?
Texas people are bent out of shape, and Fox is like, yeah, the name is on the game. Big noon kickoff. Don't know what to tell you.
They've done a really good job with like, I don't actually watch the show because I don't know. I feel like if you work in the sport, you don't really need to watch the show. I actually text with some of those producers throughout the week on stuff, just swapping info for both shows. But I mean, like, the name of the game is having people not change the channel, right? Like
Yep.
oftentimes ESPN will put the better game on ESPN2 at noon than they do on ESPN regular, because they know that ESPN regular game will rate highly because just people won't change off game day.
Yep. And I didn't watch as much last year. With Urban, it was a good show. I watched a lot more of the Urban show because they talked football.
Yeah.
And I couldn't tell you what they did last year because Urban intrigued me for whatever reason.
Like on Saturday mornings, I'm really just looking for injury information, which is
Right.
going to break on Twitter or, like text group faster than it is on game day, almost certainly. And then I'm just trying to like get stuff done because like Sunday mornings I kind of work.
How many TVs do you have in front of you when you watch?
I've got 4 screens in the office. I got an iPad, a laptop, and I got my TV up there. So if I had to go, crazy wide, I could, but
Hard to do.
yeah, there's no real point.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour. We have a handful of minutes left with Bud Elliott, 24/7 Sports, CBS Sports. So we want to get right to it. Do you think the ACC eliminates divisions like the Pac-12 just did? Because, there's big difference between 12 and 14 teams. I mean, you could have 2 teams meet in the championship game that literally have like 2 common opponents throughout a conference season. Do you think the ACC does it? And does
Yes.
it benefit Florida State and Miami?
I do think they do it 100%. Because ESPN wants better games, and you can complain about having rematches in the conference title game, but there are a lot of years in which the best 2 teams have come from the, what is now known as the Atlantic, and ESPN would love to get, Clemson, Miami twice, or Clemson, Florida State twice, or if they ever both got their acts together at the same time, Florida State, Miami twice. Hell, NC State this year, might be a really good team. What if they run through the regular season undefeated and they have to play Clemson again in the rematch? Like that's kind of what we had 2 years ago with Notre Dame and Clemson. So I think they want better inventory. They want a lot less of Pitt Wake in the conference title game. I agree with you about the competitive balance, by the way, as far as like you could have some really odd champions come through. I don't know. Maybe they solved that by having some kind of like college football playoff rating qualifier on there or whatever. They need to figure out a way to rig it just so that some team that runs an incredibly easy schedule that if you dodge like Clemson, Miami, NC State, FSU, Pitt somehow, and you play everybody else, like that's not really conference championship worthy. From an FSU standpoint, if they get Georgia Tech as one of the 3 rotating, it's a win for them. That is the closest geographic opponent they have. It's a longtime rival within the league, and they like that's one of their biggest alumni bases. I think Atlanta is the 3rd most populous city of FSU alums. So they would like to have that from a fan perspective. I know the AD was talking about how they'd like to play Syracuse annually, but that's not. No, I don't think FSU fans want to make that trip more than like once a decade.
Bud, really and truly, same question, Big Ten, because let's be real here. When you've got Michigan, Penn State, and Ohio State all on the same side, if you don't think the networks would rather have those 2 teams playing again in December, I mean, we're all crazy, but what do you think the Big Ten does?
I think it is absolutely going to go to divisionless play as well. This really helps Maryland and Rutgers, by the way, and it probably hurts like Wisconsin, Minnesota, those. But protected rivalries, the Big Ten is fairly easy to do on the East side. On the West side, we went over this history on Cover 3. There's like 1 million trophies. So I feel like we need to have the head coach of the school needs to sit down, and if he can't name the trophy, that does not need to be a protected game. I think they'll do it. Like if you're who's Ohio State, if you really kind of only need to protect 2 games, I think.
Penn State, Michigan, probably. And I actually think Ohio State, Illinois has been a dicey little fun rivalry over the years, but they may get something from the West, whether it's Indiana or Illinois. But yeah, it's pretty simple on the East side.
Yeah, exactly. On the West side, I mean, it's like Minnesota would probably claim they have a rivalry with Michigan, which
Little Brown Jug, sure.
Yeah, right, exactly. But Michigan State's going to want Michigan as well, clearly, because they're not going to get Ohio State, I would think, if you only go 2. maybe you go 3. Like with the SEC, I can see you maybe needing to go 4 to keep some teams happy that think they're rivals with people and the other opponent doesn't think it's a rival at all. The Big Ten, I think you could do pretty easily with just 2 or 3 protected games per school.
Well, certainly the TV networks would like it. And last we checked, the TV networks kind of sort of run the sport. Bud, we know you got to go. We thank you for making time with us. Maybe we'll check in before training camp, so to speak, in August, but all the best for you and the family.
Yeah, let's do it. I got SEC and ACC media days coming up. So maybe after that, we'll wrap.
Awesome.
Sounds perfect. Thanks, Bud.
All right, guys, be well.
Bud Elliott, 24/7 Sports, CBS Sports, Cover 3 Podcast, Nolecast. Busy guy.
On the Cover 3 podcast, for you college football fans, they are doing deep dives, basically a season preview, and he does about 4 or 5 teams per podcast. It is great stuff if you're looking to get your quick review and you can't wait another month for the Phil Steele book. That would be the way that I would describe it. It's really in-depth stuff on your college team, so look up what he's done. If your team's on there, it's worth the listen, no doubt.
One of the things we talked about during the commercial break was a lot of fans, more Gators than Noles, are upset that the Florida State game, because this week is a big week in network television. It's called Upfronts. The networks all go to New York, and they're pitching the media world and advertisers. This is what we have coming up in the fall. Please embrace what we're selling and spend money. And so ABC, ESPN announced about 12 big college football games, and they included Florida State amongst their 10, 12 biggest games of the year. But it is the Friday night after Thanksgiving, not Saturday afternoon after Thanksgiving. And a lot of fans for the Noles and Gators are upset about it. And I think this is one of the things that Miller and Moulton will actually agree on. Hey, at least your game's being put in prime time and prominently displayed.
You're getting a nationally televised game on Thanksgiving weekend. The eyeballs that are on that are huge. And quite frankly, no offense, guys, you're not in the spot to determine when you're playing right now. You're not good enough. Neither of you.
That game alternates which network has it. If Florida's home, CBS has control of the game. If Florida State's home, ABC, ESPN has control of the game. CBS has not televised Florida State since 2009. Bobby Bowden's last year as coach, Tim Tebow's last year as a player. So CBS has passed on this game a half a dozen times. And I know it pains the network to do it. That game still resonates in corporate New York City, but they just look at the schools and the records and they go, yeah, sorry, we can't put that game at 3:30 on a Saturday. It's the same Saturday as the Iron Bowl. Can't do it. They'd love to, by the way. They really would, but they can't do it anymore.
Facts.
I wonder, Mark, would the Florida State fan be okay if it was 3:30 on the day after Thanksgiving? Remember the UCF South Florida time slot there for a few years that worked really well? Do you think it's just the fact it's at night?
I think the fact that it's Friday, period. That they have to have Thanksgiving. And I think 3:30 might honk them off even more, David, because they'd have to get up earlier to drive to the game, in theory. I mean, at least Friday night allows people to drive to the game, get there, and maybe they don't want to spend the night because it throws hotels into it. I think all in all, the game just being on Friday ticks them off. College football is a Saturday sport. They think, both fan bases think extremely highly of themselves, and they should for all the great history that they have. But at this current moment in time, there's nothing there, and they got pushed to Friday, and I think they're upset at themselves, if you know what I mean, as they are with the network. Because I think deep down they understand why. They just can't believe it's happened.
Another fan base that has all been out of shape. Fox announced about 10 or so of their biggest games of the year. And the second Saturday, I believe, of the college football season, they've got Alabama at Texas. That's pretty sexy. Well, Fox's thing is what? Big noon. That's 11 a.m. Central. And the Texas fans have already started an online petition, and they're all bent out of shape, and they're calling Fox. And Fox is like, what part of big noon don't you understand? That's our thing.
Well, they put Texas and Oklahoma at noon, right?
Well, and remember, they put the big anniversary 50-year Oklahoma-Nebraska game, got the big noon slot, and everybody was upset that it was 11 a.m. local kick. And Fox is like, hey, we gave you the game of the week. Shut up.
Miller and Moulton. We thank you so much for listening. Right here on the Florida Sports Network.
Napa Auto Parts and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Mark, we're playing golf.
Saturday, June 11th, a scramble at the West Bay Club in Estero. Go to floridasportsnetwork.com to sign up now.
I'd like to thank Budweiser, Twin Peaks, and Southwest Florida Golf Carts. Got some good stuff there, flgolfcarts.com.
Where are you going to go? floridasportsnetwork.com. Sign up for our tournament Saturday, June 11th, a scramble at the West Bay Club in Estero. Your golf will include your foursome and a chance to have lunch and awards after.
Sign up at floridasportsnetwork.com.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. And use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
It'll ignite something, Adam, if they're any good. And you heard Bud there. He doesn't have very high expectations of FSU this year. I don't know what you can expect out of the Gators.
Yeah, I do, because I can't. I would drink water, but I can't get my hands, and I don't know. I like taste.
I'm with you. I drink water, but at the end of the day, I like taste. Hey, what? How do you get away with the zero? I know they said no diet soda. Is it just a dark soda? So the zeros are okay?
Yeah. I think it's the dark food coloring that's in the dark soda is what I was told.
Okay.
Because I could have like Sprite and ginger ale and stuff like that if I wanted to.
Gotcha. I do have more people at the club listening because yesterday I walked over. So I'd hit a drive on 18 and there's a big dog leg and I nearly hit the group in front of me. I had no idea, couldn't see him. I hit a bomb. And it was 4 women in front of me and I know one of them. She teed my ball up in the fairway on me, which I thought was pretty funny. As we're sitting there hitting my ball, I almost get hit by someone else on the tee who pounded one down there. So I went over to tell him he almost hit me. And one of the guys he played with, Jim Barra, a.k.a. Yogi looks at me and he says, "So, I hear you're obese." At a table of 10 that stopped everybody. Matter of fact, I am, Yog. Thanks for listening.
I don't think so, Yog. I don't think he qualifies.
Well, it turned into a whole BMI. The same. It is amazing. It turned into basically the segment we did on air on it, David. It was pretty funny. That whole BMI thing's a bunch of crap. Matter of fact, it is. But Felipe is starting to get tired. I just heard him on the other side of the glass going, literally doing his own cheer on the other side to keep himself awake.
You ever heard this?
No, and I don't want to now. You know what's really bad is music on a phone. You know what's worse? Music on a phone through a microphone into my headsets.
You ready? It's Miami Heat.
Okay.
We can be beat. It's Miami Heat. Wish I grew up in the 90s. Everything was so wacky and zany.
Actually, you know what, Felipe? You would have done well.
All right, let's do this.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Thanks so much for being with us. We are very appreciative of that. David Dwork will join us at the top of our bonus hour. For those of you that are no longer with us at the top of the hour, make your plans accordingly. Little Panthers lightning talk, maybe coming at you a little bit from the Panthers perspective. You can download any part of the show that you miss at floridasportsnetwork.com. Longtime friend of the show, Mark Lai, kind enough to join us. PGA is already underway. Mark, it's David and Mark. How you been?
I've been fine. Man, I've been wallowing in the heat already down here, but I do remember the days in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and if you want to get hot, that's the place to go.
Well, it should be a little different in May than it is when they've had it there in August. And boy, like history repeated itself at least early. John Daly, your current leader at the PGA after birdieing his first hole on the tournament. So he is 1 under, off to a great start. We'll see how that all plays out by the end of today, but a good start for the big fella. Mark, when you look at this tournament, who's the guy to beat this week?
Well, I think it's the guy that won the last major. It's Scotty Scheffler. I mean, he's the one that's on fire. He's got, 4 wins and a major, and just coming off a decent week last week. And I think the guy he's going to be looking at is a guy that's looking for the Grand Slam, and that's Jordan Spieth, his old buddy. So 2 guys at the top that are on form. Spieth, of course, wants to get that Grand Slam deal, which adds a little bit of pressure. But I also like another guy named Xander Schauffele in there, and so we'll see what happens. This golf course is so different than when I played it. I can't get my arms around some of the new tees that they put out, and I'm sure, Dave and Mark, that you've seen what they've done with some of these tees where they're actually crisscrossing and hitting over greens, and it's gonna be a weird setup, no doubt. Have you guys heard about that?
Yep, they've added 300 yards. It was redesigned 4 years ago. They've shaved much of the rough around many a green. You played this back in '82. Historically, Mark, even in a PGA, this has been a tough course. This is not a course in which you often get to 10 under par to win.
No, and I'll tell you why it's so severe. I do remember covering it, not only playing in '82, but covering it when Retief Goosen won. You guys remember that? The greens were so fast that they couldn't hold them on 3 of the greens, 10, 18, and 9. And so what they did is they moved the mowers up on those specific greens instead of, making them, 12 on the stimp meter. They basically moved them back to like 10.5 on those 3 greens. And that's the severity. They can get really nasty if they want to, but there's so much slope out there. I don't really see anybody having an advantage over anybody. I think everyone's long, except for, guys like Zach Johnson out there. And, Jim Furyk's not playing anymore, but I can't see anybody having an advantage. I know back in the day, and even when Tiger won against Woody Austin, there were so many irons off the tees. So many position holes out there. So I felt like, even the short hitters had a chance back then. Woody Austin almost did. But he, it would have been a weird win if Woody Austin had won. I mean, I don't think they would be promoting that tournament as much if Woody Austin beat LT Gray. But this is a very weird place. It's up and down. There's a lot of elevation change. I remember being paired with Ray Floyd that week in '82, and he was, it was a place where you had to chip, you had to putt, you had to iron it. I don't think you had to drive it all that well, but we'll see what these guys deal with. I haven't been on site, but it's a weird golf course to me. I love Tulsa, and I really like Oklahoma. All great players from Oklahoma State and Oklahoma, and great people there. But Southern Hills hasn't been one of my favorite golf courses, even covering it when I was at Golf Channel. And I don't know why it's in the rotation, Dave, to be honest with you. I don't, but we'll see what happens. They're making it out to be a pretty good looking place. I'll tell you that.
Well, in fairness, this tournament was supposed to be at Trump Bedminster, and the PGA moved it. They came out on Monday when asked, hey, why'd you move it again? And they said, well, we did it after the events on January 6th, blah, blah, blah. Jack came out this week and said the PGA made a mistake. They never should have moved it. So Southern Hills, I don't think, is in the rotation. In fact, the PGA has mapped out like 12 of the next 15 PGAs, and it's not a part of it, but it was a late fill-in, if you will, Mark, for taking the place at Trump Bedminster.
And Mark, it sounds like you're saying that past experience on this course won't, with what the changes are, how much does past experience on this course matter to you?
0. Unless you grew up on the place. Because everyone's, for the most part, I don't think there is a local player out there. Is there? Is there a guy that was actually from there that's playing in the golf tournament? I don't think so, unless it's the head pro or something.
The native Oklahoman, there's a couple of people after college who now reside in Oklahoma, but I believe, Mark, the only native Oklahoman in the field is Gooch.
Oh, okay. Well, you know something? That'd be a pretty damn good pick right there. The hometown crowd. But no, it happens when we go to tournaments at places where nobody's played. I think it's the fairest way because then it's like, okay, it's like going to Harding Park. You know, Colin Morikawa, even though he went to school at Cal Berkeley, basically nobody played that golf course at Harding Park. I mean, the 150 guys in the field, maybe 5 had played it before. So I think it's good to get in there fresh. It's not like going to Pebble where somebody's got a track record there, or even Bethpage Black where Tiger and Phil had it, you know, or places that we're used to going to all the time. So I think this is the fairest that it can possibly be. But, you know, guys, looking at the field, I mean, they used to promote and tout the strongest field ever. And I'm not bad-mouthing the PGA, but I'm looking at more names here that I have never seen hit a golf ball. And I've seen a lot of people play this game. But I'm seeing like, well, there's a threesome I've never seen before. Well, there's another threesome I've never seen before. I really, you know, except for the big boys, I don't know who these other guys are. I know they're 20, you know, club pros and a lot of international players. But this is, it's kind of a weird-looking field to me.
Well, you've already given us who you think's going to win. Tiger, obviously, back in the tournament. What are your expectations for Tiger Woods in this thing this week, Mark?
Not much. I just, you know, look, the longer he stays out there, the more great players there are coming in behind him. And he's had a bullseye on his back since, you know, he was 25, 26, 27 years old. So these guys are coming out behind him. And it's not that Tiger is regressing, which he obviously is at age 46, but there's so many good players behind him. And I look at, you know, Morikawa, who I give a good chance to this week. I look at, you know, Victor Hovland, and you look at Scotty Scheffler and all these young guys. So it's not that Tiger, you know, is necessarily getting worse. I mean, he's obviously, you know, getting older, and now with the leg and all this, and with not competing, I would say a top 25 would be outstanding for him. I mean, we saw him at the Masters, and he said, you know, I can win, and everyone started getting their bets in, and I just said, this is the dumbest statement I've ever heard. You know, I can't believe that people are throwing a nickel on this guy. And I love Tiger for the tournament, but guys, you know, walking golf courses and playing them well, that's all part of the whole thing out there. You know, it's stamina. That's why Bryson DeChambeau had to pull out this week. He says, you know, it wasn't so much my hand. It was having the stamina to play. And so Bryson, I would say, is in better shape than Tiger, wouldn't you? I mean, except for the hand. And here's this big, strong guy, 225, 230, in the peak of his physical health, saying that, hey, you know, after a couple of days, I don't think I can get through this tournament, so I got to pull out. So, you know, unless Tiger's taking some sort of injections, I don't know. I don't know how he can expect to compete out there. I'm sure he'll have a good round or two, maybe, but I can't see him hanging for 4.
Mark, what I think is hanging over the PGA is what is going to happen between now and the U.S. Open, which is the LIV Series event is going to take place in London. And we'll see, I think next week, it'll start being made public just how many guys are truly in. Mark, what do you think is going to happen between now and the U.S. Open in the world of golf?
My sense is that they will have a field at the LIV, and some names will probably surprise you. I mean, look, did you see the Ricky Fowler interview?
Yep.
Absolutely.
If I'm Ricky Fowler, I'm going, because he's not an exempt player over here. I mean, he's getting in by the skin of his teeth on a lot of events. Look, Greg Norman is not the villain here. All right. Everyone says, you know, Greg Norman hates the tour, and, you know, Greg Norman doesn't hate the tour. He loves the players. And I honestly feel that this is just another menu item on the smorgasbord of golf. And I'm for it, to be honest with you. I'm not against the tour. I'm for the players. All right. So I think if it's helping guys, like I totally agree with Lee Westwood. You know, he made the statement that, hey, you know something? 2 years ago when I played there was no problem taking their money. Now all of a sudden, you know, they're the bad guys. So look, you can think what you want. Will it destroy the tour? Hell no. The tour is strong. If they lose 10 to 15, even 20 players to this LIV, the tour will go on. It all depends on who leaves the PGA Tour. And already we don't think that Scheffler's leaving. We don't think that Rahm's leaving. We don't think that Justin Thomas is leaving. But there may be a Bryson DeChambeau. There may be a Patrick Reed. If I'm a Patrick Reed, I'm saying, you know, this is a perfect place for me. Nobody knows me. They don't hate me. You know, Adam Scott in his 40s. He's not going to win much anymore over here. You know, that. So I look at it for each guy has to make his decision on what's best for him. Would I do it? No, I wouldn't. But I can certainly see it fitting in to some people's mindset. Maybe if they felt like they were 35 and they were hanging on by their fingernails and they may just have 5 more good years, why not make it the most lucrative 5 years you can have? Because it's tough on the PGA Tour. And when they're handing out free money, Dave and Mark, like they are over there with no expenses, you got to at least pause on that one. And you got to say, let me see what's going on. And the venues really pretty much speak for themselves. The venues are top-notch, first class all the way. So that will get some notoriety. We'll see, but I'm looking forward to see who does make the jump. And, you know, I've nothing against the tour, but they've had a monopoly, guys, and I've been part of it. I played for 18 long years out there. And do I love the PGA Tour? Not really as an organization, but I do love the players, and I love how they grind it out, and I'm on their side. So whatever, Dave. I mean, you know, you make your own choices, but I think that Greg Norman has been made at the villain in this whole thing, and he is not. He's just a conduit to expand the game like they're doing everywhere in this world.
Mark, we always appreciate your time and your insight. Enjoy the PGA Championship from afar, and hopefully we can talk again between now and the Open.
You bet. Anytime, you guys. Always a pleasure. Thank you.
Mark Lai, as he said, 18 years a tour player, played on the Champions Tour, broadcast golf for 15-plus years, radio and television. Call Southwest Florida home, and we'd love to bring him on Miller and Moulton. And you'd be surprised, you start going, and Mark, I know you're not, but golfers who are about 38 years of age and older and where their world golf rankings are, and you start realizing you're a half a season away from being Ricky Fowler and not being exempt, and then life gets really hard. The only reason Ricky's in the PGA is because he finished tied 8th last year, which gets him in this year. And he's 33, I think.
He's 33.
Miller and Moulton. The bonus hour is next. David Dwork, a little Lightning Panthers.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. And use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the Chicken Bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Mark, we're playing golf.
Saturday, June 11th, a scramble at the West Bay Club in Estero. Go to floridasportsnetwork.com to sign up now.
I'd like to thank Budweiser, Twin Peaks, and Southwest Florida Golf Carts. Got some good stuff there, flgolfcarts.com.
Where are you going to go? floridasportsnetwork.com. Sign up for our tournament Saturday, June 11th, a scramble at the West Bay Club in Estero. Your golf will include your foursome and a chance to have lunch and awards after.
Sign up at floridasportsnetwork.com.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com. You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Logic Man, remember, Riley came over to the Heat after the 95 season, and in 97, they made it to the conference final. He acquired Zoe right away. They got good quickly. Hardaway, Mourning, Marley, Mashburn. You know, second half of the 90s, remember the Heat Knicks thing started. Felipe would have been fine.
Yeah, there's not much you can do about Michael Jordan and the Bulls.
Well, they had trouble, getting by the Knicks. They only got by the Knicks the one time because the league suspended a whole bunch of Knicks for taking one step onto the court during a brawl that the Heat intentionally started. I mean, or otherwise the Heat never would have beat the Knicks during that run. But they were good, though. They were entertaining. They had an identity. Yeah, nobody had anything for the Bulls.
By the way, David, we had a texter who, after you were talking about what you're getting paid or not getting paid for this, sounds like Moulton's doing an unpaid internship for Joe Buck.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
There's a real possibility of that. My wife is not going to be happy if that's the case.
I really don't think that'll be the case.
I don't think it'll be the case either. Did you ever caddy? And sometimes they're your guys and you caddy for them. And it's a member or whatever it is. And it's 2-3 week, it's either Saturday, Sunday type deal. And
I never caddied, so it's not me.
Okay. And at the end of Sunday, or the club championship where you could play 2 matches a day and what have you over a couple of weeks. And all of a sudden at the end of it, one of the members just reaches into his pocket and grabs a wad of bills and hands it to you. I have a feeling at some point, I don't know if it's going to be before I get on the plane or whether I'm just going to get the mail one day, but I have a feeling a check's just going to show up.
Well, I think he'll ask you between now and when you leave, what did all this cost you?
Well,
and then a check will show up.
And I will tell him, will go, well, if I was working at the 3-letter network of where you just left, here's how this week would have gone. And the figure would have been X, and they would have paid for everything. So that total is blank. You write me the check for whatever it is you deem to be fair.
Freddie Kitchens joins the South Carolina staff. That is a hell of a catch in the cowboy hat. Someone was talking about that earlier on the foul ball. That's a great grab. That's a great grab. You see that?
Mm-mm.
One hopper, Rays game, went into that section in left field there, the party section.
Right.
Dude's got a cowboy hat on, just turns, lifts it up, and had to reach up to catch it and caught it with the hat. That's a great catch.
Was it on the fly or the bounce?
Bounce.
Okay.
Landed in foul territory and then bounced in there.
Probably saved the hat. I think a foul ball might have gone through the top of the hat. You think?
Yeah, it was.
In the air, foul ball. You think the cat holds up?
I think the hat holds up, but it might have dented it.
I loved caddying. Absolutely loved it.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
It is the bonus hour of Miller and Moulton. Thanks so much for being with us. The Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Make sure you sign up for our golf tournament 3 weeks from Saturday, June 11th, West Bay in Estero. You can sign up as a single, a duo, a foursome. We hope to see as many of you as possible. Florida Panthers hope to be playing 3 weeks from Saturday, but in order to do so, they probably got to win tonight. Panthers hosting the Lightning. David Dwork covers the Panthers. Channel 10 in Miami. He also hosts a Panthers podcast, Chirping the Cats. You can follow David on Twitter at David Dwork, D-W-O-R-K. David, it's David and Mark. How are you?
Gentlemen, good to speak to you again.
All right. Well, everything we talked about for this series happened the wrong way for the Florida Panthers in game one. You've got to be more disciplined and stay out of the box. They weren't. They had a bad call go against them on the goaltender interference the way it's gone that way, and the power play still can't score. These are fixable items, David, but a lot of pressure to me on Burnett, the head coach, to make some changes and have them pay off tonight, don't you think?
Yeah, you would think that, frustration after game one, very similar to game one against Tampa last year where, Florida was good 5-on-5. They couldn't stay out of the box. A tight game went Tampa's way in the third period. It's all the things that you said. They've got to be more disciplined. They've got to stay out of the box. They've got to keep up this power play from killing them because, again, 3 power play goals in game one, 50% success rate, just, very similar to last year's series. It's not like the issues that they need to fix aren't right there in front of them, but you got to execute. You can't fall behind 2-0 when you've got home ice advantage for the second year in a row against the Stanley Cup champs. It's not going to work.
Well, he made a bunch of changes before game 4 of the Washington series when they were down 2-1. I mean, he basically shuffled every line and damn near every defense pairing. And didn't make necessarily a ton of changes as to who was actually playing, but man, everybody was playing with somebody different. Concerning the power play, David, I mean, what can you do besides, sometimes just saying, hey, just shoot the puck 12 times?
I really think that that's probably the key. Just watching the power plays they've had recently, the first, maybe 4 or 5 games of the Capitals series, it did not look good. It looked very lethargic. The Capitals were being very aggressive, and the Panthers could not move the puck quickly enough. Now they're getting opportunities, but the passing, the overpassing, trying to get the perfect play, as Andrew Burnett says, trying to be too cute. That's really what's got to stop. Like what this power play doesn't have, with all the skill and talent that they can throw out there, there's no pure shooter. They haven't had that maybe since Mike Hoffman. There's nobody that's just going to stand on the side and rifle shots at the net. You see other, Tampa's got Stamkos on one side and Kucherov on the other. The Capitals, Ovechkin. The successful power plays, they've got great playmakers, but they've got somebody that's just going to push the puck at the net constantly. And the Panthers don't really have that. For all the great playmakers, they've got to get more pucks on net. And, it's something that they said after game one as well in terms of how to conquer Andrei Vasilevsky. Look, he's a huge goalie, maybe the best in the world right now. You just got to put pucks on them. You got to get traffic in front. You got to get rebounds. It's the simple hockey cliches, the simple tools of the trade or whatever. But that's really what the Panthers have to get back to if they're going to get back into the series.
How honked were the Panthers about the no goalie interference call, David?
Didn't speak about it that much. I did ask Andrew Burnett about it specifically after the game. Honestly, I don't even remember if it was after the game or if it was yesterday's practice that I asked him. But I did ask him about it, and he said, "Look, what we saw on the bench, we thought that it was goalie interference. It looked pretty clear. The officials didn't agree. You don't get much of an explanation in the moment, and you move on." I'm sure there was frustration. It was a 2-1 game at the time, and then suddenly you're down. You're going, that ended up resulting in a penalty because they did the challenge that didn't work, and then the Tampa got another power play goal off of it, and it kind of ended the game for Florida in Game 1. So they're not talking about it much. I'm sure it was frustrating in the moment, but at the end of the day, what they're going to say is don't put yourself in that situation where one unfortunate call, one bad call, whatever you want to call it, is going to sink your ship, and that's the position that they put themselves in.
We're talking Panthers Lightning from a Panthers perspective with David Dwork, Channel 10 in Miami. Also host of a Florida Panthers podcast, Chirping the Cats. All right. Follow him on Twitter at David Dwork, DWORK. Listen, I'm not blaming one person, but I don't think it's a coincidence, even though he's got decent numbers. The 3 games that Barkov has not appeared on the score sheet, they're 0-3. Happens to be the only 3 games they've lost in the playoffs. He's a big ticket item. He's the captain. All right. I mean, it's time, isn't it, David? It's time. This is what many of these Panthers have wanted for 2-3 years. First, they wanted to get paid. They wanted the respect from their peers. They've wanted a shot at the Lightning. Okay, go get it, big fella.
Yeah, I think Barkov actually led all Panthers player shots on goal in Game 1, if I'm not mistaken. So it's not like he's not impacting the game, but yeah, he's this is a guy who, if he had played a full season, he would have been Jonathan Huberdeau in terms of points. And he's a driving force of this team. I think that first line, as they go, the team goes, as we've seen the year. And as you just, pointed out, Panthers' 3 losses in the postseason are all games that Sasha Barkov hasn't found his way on the score sheet. I really thought his line in Game 1 with Verhaeghe and Giroux was maybe one of the more consistent lines. I thought the second line with Huberdeau, Bennett, and Duclair, that was great in the first period, and behind parts of the second just kind of disappeared in the second game. You could credit Tampa for what they did defensively, and John Cooper trying to match up as best he could while on the road. But at the end of the day, I think as you said, Sasha Barkov, he needs to get on the score sheet. You need your top 6 really to drive the bus. So that's what's happening with the Panthers all year. It's that depth that they can throw out these multiple high-end lines. And, again, credit to Tampa for what they did in Game 1. They shut things down pretty nicely, similarly to the way the Capitals limited the Panthers' opportunities at the beginning of that series. But, it is, the playoffs are a grind. The Panthers did learn as they went along in the first series. And, if you guys remember, it was like not until Game 3 or 4 that the Panthers didn't have that nervous, tentative feel to their game. And that didn't happen in Game 1 of the Tampa series on Tuesday. It felt more like a Panthers team. It was, it was a loss, but it felt more like they were getting into their game a bit more. Hopefully the nerves have gone and they can just adjust and, continue to progress the way that we saw at the end of the first round. I think tonight's going to be a big test for that. Obviously, the last thing they want to do is fall behind 2-0, just like they did last year. So I'm very curious to see just how everything plays out tonight at the old rink in Sunrise.
David, I'm with you because for 30 minutes at least, and maybe for 40 minutes, Florida played their game in Game 1. But when the third period came around, Tampa limited them to 1 shot, cleared the puck off the glass out, and said, bring it again if you can even get it into the zone. I guess my question for you, David, is can Florida win a 2-1 hockey game?
Yeah, they just got to get the 2 first, I guess. It's when you fall behind with Tampa that they can really put the clamps on you, as we saw in Game 1. I mean, I think the question winning a game like that was more a question, for me at least, of goaltending than it was of the team. I wasn't sure how confident I was maybe earlier in the season and the 2 years previous in Sergei Bobrovsky holding the fort in a tight game late. I'm not concerned about that currently. I think Bob has been maybe the most consistent player for the Panthers in the playoffs. And even with, the 4 goals in game 1, I really wasn't faulting him for this year and during his tenure in South Florida, where there's been, goals that you would call bad goals, leaky goals, demoralizing. But it's not really happening that much in the playoffs, and he's making so many more of these great athletic saves. And the rebound control has actually gotten a little bit better, too. And credit to the Panthers defense. They're playing great in the slot and clearing things out. But I just think in terms of, like, winning a tight game like that, having a goaltender that you can really trust to make those big saves. And at this time, I think you can trust Sergei Bobrovsky more than any time previous that he's been, here with the Panthers. So, yes, to answer your question, I think they can win a tight game like that. I don't know if we're going to see any tight, low-scoring games, at least for the first few of this series, just because of the back-and-forth nature of these teams. Like, they're going to put up some goals early on before things get clamped down. But I think the Panthers can really succeed in whatever style of play that the game dictates. It's just a matter of keeping it even strength for the most part. Once they, what happened in the third period, I think it was 3 penalties that the Panthers took in maybe the first 12 minutes of the period. I don't have the box score in front of me. Mistakes that can happen. That's why you lose these tight games. It's because you put yourself behind the 8 ball in addition to already chasing the game. So, tight, I would expect, just like game 1, that they're going to come out playing well, playing their game at home. Fans will be jacked up. Obviously, they're going to be motivated. We'll see. Tampa's got that moxie of, pedigree of a 2-time. It's going to be a good one. Hopefully for Panthers' sake, they come out on top, but it should be entertaining. Maybe not as entertaining as what happened last night in Alberta, but it should be fun.
For those that missed it, Calgary 9, Edmonton 6 was game 1 of that series. David, going to be a late night for you. Get that nap in the way the players do after the morning skate. And thanks so much for your time once again.
No, anytime, fellas. Have a great one.
David Dwork, Channel 10 in Miami, host of the Chirpin' the Cats Florida Panthers podcast. Follow him on Twitter, David Dwork, DWORK. Yeah, must win tonight. Absolute must.
No doubt.
Simple math.
Yeah, you're not going to beat this team 4 out of 5. I just don't see how that happens.
No, 4 out of 7's hard enough.
Right.
Yeah, 4 out of 5. I'll agree with him, by the way. Like, I thought the Panthers, when they lost game 1 last year, it messed them up for game 2. They were just totally out. And then they kind of regrouped and played pretty good games in Tampa and kind of sort of got back in the series. But I'll be curious how they respond at the outset tonight. Whether Tampa's back in their head or whether or not a year later they're like, okay, let's play, boys.
I think they've added enough pieces that won't be the case. They've just got to be able to get that. They got the first goal, get the second goal. They dominated for 30 minutes, but they had a 1-0 lead after the time, and that wasn't good enough.
Rangers found that out last night as well. 1-0's nice. 2-0's a win.
You know what else is a win? Our golf tournament, June 11th. West Bay. Sign up now. Go to floridasportsnetwork.com, floridasportsnetwork.com. Sign up for our golf tournament brought to you by Southwest Florida Golf Carts, Twin Peaks, and Budweiser. floridasportsnetwork.com. It's June 11th. Sign up, single, twosome, foursome. You can do all of those on the website. We hope to see you on Saturday, June 11th at West Bay for the Miller in Moulton Golf Tournament. Thanks for listening right here on the Florida Sports Network.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial and use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10 That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Logic, man, that's how it always works. Once you change uniforms, they're a different player.
Well, I like it. What did Wentz say? That came out of left field, the comments from Irsay that he couldn't play. It's like, no, he's the, I mean, I did, Wentz is like, he can say what he wants. He owns a team, but that is, who would Minnesota want? Michigan, Wisconsin, Iowa?
Yes. Yep. The two border rivalry games and the Little Brown Jug.
Who would Wisconsin want?
Oh, Minnesota for sure. Probably Illinois.
Because Sparty would want Michigan. Believe it or not, they've got the old brass platoon with Indiana that they've played forever, so that might be one. Might. And then Penn State would be my guess. If they would try to dram that land-grant stupid thing down people's throats.
Ridiculous.
No, they've tried to make Michigan State, Penn State a rivalry. It's not.
Yeah. No, I know.
But if it were 3, that would be my guess.
Listen, Logic Man, I love what the Eagles have done.
I'll be picking them to win the division, just for the record.
And to bolster that, you haven't had a repeat champion in that division in 18 years. So a lot of people are going to try to run with that and pick against the Cowboys. I don't know about get hurt, but I mean, you were a 9-8 team last year that snuck in as the 7 seed. You beat one winning team all year. It was the 9-8 Saints. I mean, you've got many different rungs still to go. I mean, what if you improve to an 11-6 team that wins the East, hosts a playoff game and wins it, and then gets beat? I mean,
Coming
I think
back.
that's a decent step.
Thanks for listening. And now, more of Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
"21 minutes past the hour, Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network. Tigers teed off, right? 10 minutes ago?
Yeah, he did. They showed it.
Of course they did.
Then they showed him walk. It was riveting.
Did he
was
walk
way
well,
behind
Mark?
Spieth, way behind Spieth and Rory going down the first fairway. That's all I want to let you know, David.
Okay. So you're picking Spieth.
I am.
You think he completes the career Grand Slam?
Been playing really well lately, and I don't think the big moment bothers him in the least bit. So, yeah, I am picking Jordan Spieth. For the record, by the way, Daly's managed to par a few holes after that. Still 1 under through 4. Just for you-know-what and giggles.
Yeah, good for John.
Right. The longer he can hold out at that, the better the tournament is for it. If he could make the cut, that would be amazing.
Yes, it would. Yes, it would.
I'm shooting 75 today, to be brutally frank with you, but
It's a par 70. So keep that in mind when you see the scores. There's a couple of guys in the top 10 who haven't won majors. You got Hovland, who I think 6th in the world, and you got Schauffele, who's 10th.
who, for the record, also birdied his first hole today and is among the group at 1 under.
So just throwing that out there. If you think oftentimes the PGA is a place where somebody wins their first major, I mean, you can go back even in 1970 when they played here at Southern Hills. Dave Stockton won his first PGA in 1970. I just pointed out, Mark, that the people who have won the PGA at Southern Hills have been golfers that when their careers were over, you went, oh, wow, that's a golfer you remember. Dave Stockton. You know, double-digit wins on tour, a couple majors, known for his putting, Ryder Cup captain. You know, I don't believe in the World Golf Hall of Fame, but about as good a career as you could have without getting in it. And then the other 3 PGA champions at Southern Hills are Ray Floyd, Nick Price, and Tiger Woods. And between 8 and 11 under has basically been the winning score the last 3 PGAs.
I will say with these tees, it is going to be weird to watch at times with some of these crossovers. Even like today, they're juggling the tee times in 5-minute intervals because they're going off of 1 and 10, and they're so close to one another that they're jockeying when guys are teeing off. So it's going to be an interesting watch for those of you that remember the course because it's different than the last time you've seen it.
You know, I'll say it again. Brooks Koepka's finished in the top 5 in 5 of the last 7 PGAs. Second last year, won it twice. How about Zalatoris?
So funny. I was literally going to say, how about the skinny guy, David? That were the next words coming out of mouth. Will Zalatoris, just this threesome that he's playing in alone looks like it would be worth the price of admission to watch. Zalatoris is out with Hovland and Cam Smith. I mean, that right there, I could follow that group around for 2 days and feel like I had a great deal on whatever, even with those insane beer prices that they're charging at the PGA Championship this week, David.
$18, ladies and gentlemen. $18 for a Mick Ultra. It's what, the tall cans?
Yeah, it's a 16-ounce can for $18.
Right.
I don't even think it's the 24-ounce can.
No, 19 for a Stella, for what it's worth. This year, Stella Taurus doesn't have a win, lost in a playoff at the Farmers, has 5 top 6s, including the Masters. Think about it. He's played in 2 Masters, Mark. He's finished 2nd and 6th. Played in the PGA last year, top 10.
My son has a buddy who talks about Ross Chastain, the driver that we follow so much. He goes, Ross might not get you a win, but he'll get you top 10 every time. Will's kind of in that same boat. He might not get you a win, but Will's been getting a lot of top 10s. He competes every single week, and sooner or later, he's going to break through. But I think, boy, that's a special group to watch right there, David. With Zalatoris and Hovland and Cam Smith. The winner might come out of that threesome right there.
Well, you know, my pick is Hovland, who's also in the top 10. I think he's 4th, right? 4th or 6th. Doesn't have a major yet. But I could see Victor Hovland winning the PGA, the first of a 3 or 4 major win career.
Hovland or Zalatoris, who would you bet wins more majors when it's all said and done?
Hovland. I think Victor Hovland's going to be special. I think Victor Hovland's going to win 4 or more majors. I really do. I think he's got, quote unquote, it. And I don't think he's scared.
And I think he is going to be a joy to watch for the other team in the Ryder Cup for the next 2 decades almost.
Remember, played his college golf at Oklahoma State. And I believe lives now in Oklahoma full time. Now, he's not a native Oklahoman. There's only one of those in the field, Taylor Gooch. It's not the worst pick in the world either. He's in the top 30.
And really long odds you were able to get on him.
Right.
Like, I thought he was, I don't know about triple digits, but I thought he was right around 100-1, somewhere in that range.
You know, there's so many former Oklahoma State Cowboys in this field that are really good players too. And you wonder if there'll be, you know, some sort of home cooking for them.
Well, can Ricky find it for the second PGA in a row? Oklahoma State guy. He's obviously going to know this course a little bit. And I know he's a California kid, right? But he's an Oklahoma State grad.
Right.
And I'd love to see it. I'd love to see an Act 2 out of Ricky Fowler because he's fallen off the map quickly.
I think it's going to be interesting to see how many players take the leap in the next 3 weeks. I really do.
If you were Ricky Fowler, would you?
I wouldn't, because in theory, one, it's going to be there, so I can take the jump next year or the year after when I'm 34 or 35. And that's, you know, if I'm Ricky Fowler, I'm still young enough where I'm thinking I'm going to find it. I'm going to be back with my friends, and I'm going to win that major. So, yeah, Mark, I think you have to be past the point where you think you can win a major. Because if you think about it, you play golf for money and prestige. Well, what's prestige? No offense, it's not winning the Players. It's winning one of the 4. That's prestige. You know, there have been 20 guys win the Players who were really good players. We can't name them. We can name Sean McKeel, Rich Beam, and Y.E. Yang. You know, Mark Brooks. You know, so I think you got to get to the point where you think you can't win a major anymore. And if you're at that point, well, hell, they're paying appearance fees, and we think they're in the 7 figures, and that doesn't even include the fact that the purses are obscenely more than what you're playing for on the PGA Tour. I mean, think about, you know, I'm doing some research here. Guys with like 4 top 10s ranked in the 30s in the world are going to put $2.5 million in their bank account this year. It's a really good year. Might make it all the way to the Tour Championship or just before it. Well, from the sounds of it, it looks like you could make that in London in 3 weeks between the appearance fee and what they're paying in the tournament. You don't have to play 26 events. And if you're 38 years old and you think you can compete on tour but not win a major,
free money's free money, David. Not many people are able to turn that down, and that's what this tour is. And we shall see in the coming weeks how many jump. We know of a couple, but we really haven't gotten past a handful of guys that we know. And there will be more. And I think your point of Fowler that you can go down the road is a great one. Is that if this tour succeeds, it's still there for you in 2-3 years. And the other side of this, David, with 15 or so guys jumping, that's 15 or so more so exemptions that Ricky can get in tournaments with.
Miller and Moulton. Good, bad, and ugly. Today was the day when, what's on tap, and some final thoughts all coming up here on the Florida Sports Network.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
Mark, we're playing golf.
Saturday, June 11th, a scramble at the West Bay Club in Estero. Go to floridasportsnetwork.com to sign up now.
I'd like to thank Budweiser, Twin Peaks, and Southwest Florida Golf Carts. Got some good stuff there, flgolfcarts.com.
Where are you going to go? floridasportsnetwork.com. Sign up for our tournament, Saturday, June 11th, a scramble at the West Bay Club in Estero. Your golf will include your foursome and a chance to have lunch and awards after.
Sign up at floridasportsnetwork.com.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
No, he took the high route. Needs to carry.
Tiger in there tight.
El Tigre birdies won. Tiger stuck it to 5 feet, made a birdie on one.
There you go. There you go.
Skinny birdied one.
Who did?
Skinny.
Really skinny.
Really skinny. I figured out something else. And this is because it happened to me. So the coach of my daughter's softball team, young guy, good guy, heavy, said to my wife, I said, am I as fat as such and such? And she gave a slight pause. That was all I needed to know that she was telling the truth. And in reverse, because it doesn't bother me. I was pretty sure I asked the question because that's what scared me. I caught a glimpse of myself in a mirror and I went, oh my God. But that's one you can't do either. The wife says, how do I look in this outfit? You've got to be ready to answer
Great. Awesome.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah. Hot. Yeah. Totally. Yep.
It's all it took, Guillermo. Tiger birdied one. You bought ESPN Plus. I love it. Absolutely love it. Oh, wow. I'll tell you what, and he putted or two putted on the par 3 11th, so he is even through 2 or 1 under through 2.
Who is?
Tiger, apparently. The Bob Herrig's well ahead of what I'm seeing on the site here.
Yeah, featured group today, Spieth, Rory, and Tiger. I have a feeling they may get a few 599s today.
You know what? I'm guessing the whole thing with these is just like the damn health club. Once they get you, do you really, say, I'll just get it for 3 months and turn it down? You know what I mean? People don't do that.
I know a lot of people now are biased against ESPN and, how liberal they've become in certain things. I get it. ESPN Plus has got to be one of the 5 best values out there for the amount of material that you get a month for $6 or $8. It is staggering.
There's so much.
Well, especially when you really, you want to get that Disney Plus Hulu package for $12.99 or $14.99.
Right, and it comes with it.
Yeah,
right.
That's the one I'm stealing from my mother, but she gets my Netflix. So she gets my Netflix and my Apple Music. So I think she's coming out okay on the deal. Finally told her to buck up and buy something, for crying out loud. Enough of carrying you. And Guillermo, I'd recommend that package, even if you're not going to do the Disney Plus, for Brockmire on Hulu. You fly a lot. You need stuff to watch on the plane.
Wow, Florida's minus 170 tonight. I'd have to bet the Lightning. Colorado's minus 240, by the way.
I'd bet St. Louis.
Got to.
But I'd more than likely stay away because Colorado just outclassed them in that game, and their goaltending did phenomenal.
Yep.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
Home stretch, Miller and Moulton on this Thursday. Tigers, 1 under through 2?
Yes. 1 under through 2 and in the middle of the fairway on the 12th. He started on the back 9.
Going to be a whole lot of people who break down and purchase ESPN Plus today. By the way, it's not a long-term commitment, and I'm not advocating, or I don't care. Do I pay for it? Yeah, actually, I think I do because I need all the info. But, it is something like my mother purchases it just to watch me broadcast the A-Sun games, and then she cancels it. You can do it. It's a month-to-month thing. So, like Guillermo in our Twitch chat room, had never purchased it before. Mark announces Tiger Birdies won. He bought it. Said, I can't handle it anymore. I got to watch. So, Guillermo, he's a lawyer. He can bill the $6 or $8 to somebody and, move on. But just saying.
I
know
think
many of you.
A lot of people purchasing ESPN Plus and then watching it in their office today or their home office or wherever they may be and blowing off the day.
Yeah.
Tiger's not good for work productivity.
No. Tiger, Spieth, and Rory in the featured groups. This might as well be day one of the NCAA tournament for a whole bunch of people out there.
Leave it to the oldest guy in the show, and definitely the oldest soul, to live in the past. Here's David Moulton with Today Was the Day When...
Guillermo purchase update in the Twitch chat room, Mark. He let us know the purchase stopped his hands from shaking.
Good. We're here to help.
So, 1536 is how far we go back. Anne Boleyn, the second wife of King Henry VIII. Well, the hussy got caught playing around on the king. They were, well, not as nice back then as they are now. Now, hell, they let you have a man or a woman on the side. And eventually you can divorce your wife and marry the mistress and still be king. But King Henry VIII, Mark, in 1536, had Anne beheaded.
That'll stop him.
Well, I mean, I think for a couple centuries the word did spread. Ringling Brothers Circus premiered on this day in 1884. They had a good, 125-year run.
They really did.
I looked forward to it every summer. Saw them at Madison Square Garden. 1912. The Tigers had been protesting a suspension for Ty Cobb. And their protest was the Tigers weren't playing.
Right.
They were finding 20-something guys off the street, putting them in uniform and saying, hey, you go play. They were making a mockery of it. They did this for a couple of games. The American League on this day, 110 years ago, said to the Tigers, here's the deal. You all put your uniforms on and play today, or we're dumping the Detroit Tigers from the American League. You got it?
What was remarkable is that they actually scored some runs in the games they played with Scab. I mean, they were losing 22-4, but they were getting 4 on the board.
Right. Well, I think because they were putting Pujols in the late innings to pitch. The teams that were up 18 and 22-0.
Could be.
The NFL on this day in 1935 announced, you know what we're going to do? Beginning next year in 36, we're going to adopt a college draft. That's how we're going to get our players. Let's see how that works out. Seems to be doing okay for the NFL.
No, it's a 3-day television event.
Juan Marichal made his major league debut today, Mark, in 1960 against the Phillies. He threw a one-hitter. The first pitcher since 1900 to debut with a one-hitter and a 2-0 win. Secretariat wins the Preakness today. Still the fastest time, 49 years later.
Fastest Derby time, fastest Belmont time.
Right. He was pretty good. Other Preakness winners on this day. In 79, Spectacular Bid. In 84, Gate Dancer. In 90, Summer Squall. In 01, Point Given. In 07, Curlin. In 2012, I'll Have Another. And 4 years ago, Justify.
I'll Have Another's a perfect one for a horse announcer. It really is. And down the stretch they come. I'll Have Another in the lead.
It was on this day in 1974 that the Flyers won their first Stanley Cup. They beat the Big Bad Bruins 1-0 in Game 6 at the Spectrum. Bernie Parent was magnificent. They became the first non-original 6 franchise to win the Stanley Cup when they did so in 1974. They would win it again the next year, and unfortunately for great hockey fans that they are in Philadelphia, the franchise has not won one since. So on this day in 84, Mark, that the Oilers ended the Islanders dynasty. They won Game 5, 5-2, winning the series 4-1, and Edmonton began a dynasty of their own as they would win 4 out of 5 and 5 out of 7, and the Islanders have not been back to the finals since. So on this day in 1989, Do the Right Thing. Spike Lee premiered. Billy Ray Cyrus dropped his debut album on this day 30 years ago in 92. Come on, admit it. You all did a little achy breaky heart. You got a little, this was kind of before karaoke was the thing. You were out and about. It played. You got up. You did it. Come on.
That'd be a negative, Ghost Rider. You know me and country, especially then.
I understand, but the women loved it.
I know.
You were
It probably cost me a date or two because I did not do it.
In 1994, it was the final episode of LA Law. I was always into lawyer shows. Also, Jennifer Capriati checked into rehab. Made a remarkable comeback. Cleaned up her life, won a couple majors. It was on this day in 99, Star Wars 1, The Phantom Menace, premiered. Did not see it. Have not seen anything past Star Wars 2.
Really?
Yeah, that's it. Watch the
Empire Strikes Back was it, huh?
No, that's it.
All right.
That's it. I felt I didn't need to see anymore. Couldn't imagine they'd put out stuff that was any better than what I just saw. Not a big sci-fi guy.
You and I both.
Mark, 4 years ago today, one of the great moments in history, Meghan married Harry. You have to admit, in their 4 years, they've had a few things go on, many of them of their own doing, granted, including 2 kids, leaving the royal family, relocating to the States. All in 4 years. That's pretty good.
It is. It is. The only thing that I like less than sci-fi are the Royals. And I'm not talking about Kansas City.
But they're not Royals anymore.
Once a Royal, always a Royal.
That's what they say. 3 years ago, Koepka goes wire to wire to wins back-to-back PGAs. That was the one in out Long Island there when he had the huge lead. And on Sunday, started choking like a big dog for the first time in his life. Bogeyed like 5 out of 7 holes. DJ got within 2. And it was a year ago today, Mark, Corey Kluber for the Yankees. He's now with the Rays. But last year with the Yankees, he no-hit the Texas Rangers in Arlington 2-0. Those whose birthday is May 19th who are no longer with us. And it's a big list. I cut it down. Dolph Shays, Bill Fitch, Curly Neal. That's just basketball. Malcolm X, Andre the Giant. Dusty Hill and Joey Ramone, if you want to go musically. And Nicole Brown Simpson would have been 63 today. Bill Laimbeer is 65.
And he just elbowed somebody.
And he's honked. KJ Choi's 52. Kevin Garnett's 46. Mario Chalmers is 36. Archie Manning is 73. Going to have to bring that up on the MegaCast. I think Peyton and Eli are coming on the show today.
Well, there you go.
It'll be my little factoid. Grace Jones is 74. Sam Smith is 30. And the legend, Pete Townsend, is 77.
And still touring. I mean, just for the record, that is a year younger than our mothers. Your mom, my mom, both have a lot of spunk.
Well, and they're both, my mom's 77.
Right, but they're both,
right.
Townsend was born in 45. They're both of our moms are the same age. Both turning 78 this year.
Right.
I can't imagine my mom doing a 30-city tour right now.
No, I can't get her to come to Florida. So unless the 30 cities are in Jersey, the tour is definitely out.
Apparently, this is a summer tour in 1974 by Bruce Springsteen.
Right. Now, listen, it may be, me. She won't tour for me. Maybe, she would tour Jersey for the music. Come see her only child? Not really. Today was the day.
One small omission, just because I saw this and I know people will remember, 1962. One of the last public appearances that Marilyn Monroe makes was singing "Happy Birthday, Mr. President."
Right. Yeah, Jackie was thrilled. with that,
Had
by
to
the
be.
way. Yes. Sitting right there. Sitting right there. I mean, throwing it in your face. I mean, and he and the guys around him all laughing. Uh-huh.
It's 1962, David.
I understand. Apparently, things are different then.
You've heard folks elsewhere mock Florida is gonna Florida. Well, Mark Miller sees it differently. He calls it the good, the bad, and the ugly. What you got, Mark?
Turtles. They're booming. According to the folks in Collier County and in the Turtle Sea Conservancy, that Florida beaches are booming with turtles. As someone who has walked the beaches looking for turtle nests in the morning, I'm very happy to see that the population of turtles up because that's good for everybody. For the bad, David, we go to the gritty streets of North Fort Myers and our buddy at Gulf World. When a man walked in wearing a mask and walked out with a set of Mizuno irons, he went all canoe at Gulf World, David.
Wow.
Basically said, I'm taking him to the range and took him home. And then tried to take out another one of our buddies at the Golf and Casual store and do the same thing.
Come on, dude.
Word spread.
Yeah.
It's a locally owned business. Hate to see that stuff happen because now he'll actually have to file a real theft as opposed to the fake ones that he claims on his taxes. Finally, the ugly.
Hello.
This is an all-timer, and it's not anything anybody needs to turn down. This is just a dumbass. Alex Lazinski of North Reddington Beach is facing charges of wire fraud, bank fraud, money laundering. You see, he used fictitious charitable entities to try to get money. He received 2 PPP loans totaling about $200,000. He was involved in a check kiting scheme and tried to deposit $2.7 million in worthless checks into his fake charity account. When he saw that the government froze his money is when he pulled off what I think's an all-timer. He attempted to have his money released at the bank by producing a fabricated pardon that was purportedly signed by former President Trump. That's right. He went to the bank with a pardon that he faked that was from President Trump to try to get his money that had been frozen by the federal government out of the account. He's now facing up to 30 years for a litany of charges and will spend a bunch of time in the pokey for basically being a dumbass. That takes a lot of work and failed miserably. And that, David, is the good, the bad, and the ugly on May the 19th, 2022.
The pokey.
What type of seal, fake seal, do you put on a fake pardon letter? I mean, you've got to have something official, right? Don't you have to have stationery, from the office of the president? I mean, honestly, what in the world is on that paper besides the fact that, the guy's giving me a pass?
See, I've got my pardon here from the president.
Right. Funny, it looks like something I could get at Kinko's. Are you sure? Well, to me, forget the words on the paper. You got to sell the paper.
I mean, this is catch me if you can here.
I mean,
and this guy does not look like Leo. That's all I'm telling you.
I mean, did you spend the night in the Lincoln bedroom and you took some stationery home with you? How are you doing this? You get the stamp, from the notary? I mean, what?
Reminder, go to the website, sign up for the golf tournament, and check out the Moulton Megacast today, as I have now dubbed it. The Moulton Megacast. What time do we start watching you on television?
1 o'clock. First hour is on ESPN. Next 3 hours are on ESPN2. So, Lightning Panthers tonight. Heat Celtics tonight.
Screw all that. We've got the Moulton Megacast.
Okay.
David Moulton, Joe Buck, Troy Aikman, the Mannings. It'll be a big show. Michael Collins, David, good luck. Have a great day today. Miller,
Thanks.
Moulton, thanks for listening right here, Florida Sports Network.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only